It's live.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to Night Court. We're trying something new. Piping in from you from a StreamYard video broadcast. We're going to simulcast off of into X from StreamYard so that we can actually watch video. And we've got you guys piped in from our Night Court space, piped in to catch your audio. If you'll go to my timeline, and if my co-host is so kind to go to my timeline and post to the link to the live feed in the pill and the jumbotron, you can do with a little maneuvering. You should be able to watch the videos, hear our commentary on the StreamYard, as well as see the videos. I think Veteran's got some good tips on how to do that. Turn one down and listen to the audio out of your X space. And that should, otherwise, you have a little bit of an echo. There's a time delay between the video pushing out and the way you guys will hear it in there. But this is a brand new run for us. We've never tried this before, and we're pretty excited about it. If this works, you're going to see a lot more of this. But tonight, we're going to review police videos. I've gone through, I put in one search, and the search was body-worn camera, police use of force. Very simple. And I selected videos from that single YouTube search of just kind of in random. The criteria that I look for, that it was clear enough, it was had enough substance to it, so that we could give it some sort of a review. Myself as a former law enforcement officer, and we've got our good friend of the show, Jason, in it with us as well. He's not in the space with you, but he's on the live feed with me. We've got... and let me go back to Jason. Jason's a current law enforcement officer. His information and the stuff he'll give us is up to date. And we've also got John Cox, our co-host, who's also in our Yard Stream studio with us as a reviewer, panel reviewer. He has a background in law enforcement as well. And we've got our producer, Kingdom, and we want to give him a big shout out. This gentleman is kind of putting some of the pieces together on ideas that we've had. He's helping us actually bring it to fruition and make something happen with it to give us this simulcast here tonight. So big shout out. If nobody's following Kingdom, he's in the space there. That's our link between the two. Give him a follow. He's absolutely worth it. But our last panel member is going to be FT French. I believe he can take a look at these from a civilian or a layman's term. Not, I don't mean that a negative connotation, but one without law enforcement training, to look at these, and we're going to give us an honest critique of what we thought police officers, how they handled it, whether use of force was warranted, or whether it was accurate. And I've got some that are going to involve a suspect dies or a suspect is actually shot, and I've got others that are not. And I didn't pick them for whether I thought the police officers did the right thing or not. We'll see a mixed bag tonight. But the way it's going to go is, once we kick off the videos, we're going to review the videos. Some of these are kind of long, 15 or 20 minutes. I'm going to try to fast forward through the dead space on the body-worn cam and kind of get to the points that we really want to review. Once we see the video, we're going to open up to the panel to kind of give their critique on what their opinion of law enforcement action from what we see in the video. And then we're going to go to our studio audience. That's you guys out there in X space on our regular Night Court space show. I believe we've got this hooked up, and my co-host between Bruce Wayne, Ron, Big Ron, and Veteran LTC, who's also in there, going to assist us. I believe we can get your questions to the panel or even comments to the panel back and forth almost as seamless as we do on our nightly show. So we're ready to give this a shot. We've got the videos loaded up there. Is that right, Kingdom? Kingdom's our producer.
Got everything loaded up, ladies and gentlemen. We are broadcasting live on YouTube. We'll be on Rumble. We're live on X on the Joe Lanews channel. You can see the video. Just mute the audio to listen live on the audio. Do it from the Night Court with Joe Lanews X space. And then also we are live pretty much everywhere. Facebook, everywhere. I mean, right now there's 48 people that are watching, and we're looking for like hundreds of people, but it's going to be very good content. You can actually request to talk on your space on X, and you can talk with the show. And then we also have live guests that are here. So it should be awesome. Do you want to see this Joe Lanou shooting intro?
Let's run the shooting intro. And what I want you guys in the space to do is take a look at the link and give us some feedback on how the video is playing through there, that it can be seen and everything's happy there. But yeah, let's do the intro and then let's get started.
Boom, there it is, Joe Lanou. Let's kick it off, brother. Where are we starting?
I tell you what, let's start with the Dickinson, Texas video. I think that's a good place to start. Is my panel ready? Everybody give us a shout out there. Jason, you good to go? John?
2022. Officer.
Yeah, I'm good.
I want to say one thing. I have a question in the pill. If you are hearing an echo and you're watching the video, you can lower it down. If you do not have the capability of lowering the video down, back out of the video, be on the post, you can still see the stream going without the video going into your ear. So you'll be able to listen to the space and watch the video without actually clicking on the video itself, just being on the post.
Are you driving?
Kingdom, let's run that back and start that video again, because they're going to want to see the audio as well.
All right, audio's on. You ready to start playing it?
Let's do it. You guys in the space are good. Ron, Bruce, veteran, you guys are good, ready to go?
Yep, ready to go.
All right. Here we go with
February
the first video, guys.
26, 2022, Officer Michael Kinsley of the Dickinson Police Department responded to an accident where 65-year-old Michael Skurlock was hit by a pickup truck as he rode his bike in Dickinson, Texas. The interaction that followed was captured on Officer Kinsley's body-worn camera and later on Officer Kevin Chance's body camera.
63, show me out on that auto pit.
I said I was.
You all right?
Yeah, a little get together. He's being stubborn about getting checked out, but he said he's all right.
I'm all right.
So we're just.
You all right?
I told him I want to take
No,
him down.
I ain't all right. I need about $1 million, and then I'll be all right.
Well, you ain't getting that, so.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I'm trying to get him. He's always
You
up
go
and down my
ahead
street,
and
so
get that.
I want to get you down.
I got that. I can put that.
Okay.
Even though it's a complicated son of a.
Yeah. Well, so what do you want to do?
I'm gonna put this thing on, put that shit in.
63, he's not injured. No ambulance needed. Can you run Michael Skurlock?
I think I'm gonna flip that cover over. I don't think you're going at it right. There you go.
Yeah, I got the tools at the house. You know where I live.
You didn't do that on purpose.
No, sir.
63, did you get my last transmission?
I'll come by.
Stop by the house. You know where I be.
I'm glad that you are somebody I know.
Hey, hold on. Don't go anywhere yet.
What do you mean don't go anywhere yet?
Exactly what the f I mean. Don't go anywhere yet.
Hey, what the have I done?
I was.
What?
What happened?
He hit me accidentally.
EMS is not needed.
I was looking that way to go, and I was starting to ease out. And the next time I see a flash in front of him, he goes.
I was worried about
bumped
flat. Now, I ain't worried about flat. Look at that wheel. Wee!
Where were you driving?
I got to fix a flat in that cylinder. And it ain't supposed to fix a bicycle tire. It adheres the tube to the tire. And that son of a is leaking down. Boom, bang. Look at this shit. I can drive with it. Now, where you go? All right, am I through?
No.
What have I got to do?
You got to wait here
What for? Tell me.
till we finish our investigation.
Investigation? There ain't
Matter of
no
fact, have a seat. Have a seat on the curb.
Matter of fact, I was out there laying.
Have a seat on the
in
curb.
You're not listening to me.
Have a seat
That's
on the
what you're
curb.
supposed to do.
Have a seat on the curb.
She hit me. I mean, he hit me, and I wasn't. I thought he saw me.
Hey, have a seat on the curb.
I'm gonna look for my stuff, young man.
All right, turn around. For
Come on, now wait a minute.
Hey, relax.
What are you doing?
Hey,
Hey,
you're gonna have a seat. Sit down.
I'll try to have a seat if you'll let go of me. You don't own me.
We need him now.
63. Go ahead, roll an ambulance.
All right, I'm going to hold it there. What we have is the gentleman was, if you hadn't picked up on it already, the gentleman was hit by a pedestrian, hit by a bike, or a person on a bike hit by a motor vehicle. Police were called. The officer shows up on the scene, and it escalates into the use of force. And the back end of this video is pretty chopped up, so I'm going to back it off and just kind of explain what happened after the use of force. The officer that used the force, the original officer's body cam that we were watching, the cam was either knocked off or came off, and so it switches to another view after that. But you don't get to see what happens. He grabs him in essentially a around the waist grip and body slams him, but it actually hits his head. The 65-year-old man was taken to jail for public intoxication. Subsequently hospitalized with severe head injuries. And I won't tell you the disposition after that. What I'd like to do is go to let's go to our panel. And first, I want to get you know what? I want Jason's opinion first. What do you think about that, Jason?
Based on what I saw, I think I would not have handled it that way. I think you could have talked a little more and not. I would not have done what that officer did, based on what I saw.
And I'm going to hold you there because I think I know where you're going, and I'd like to get into that after we get everyone else's opinion, and maybe even some out of the audience as well. Hey, Kingdom, we're getting a little feedback from our spaces that it's coming in a little loud. We turn down our feed volume just a tad bit? And I'll try to get a read from you from the co-host in there as well.
All right.
But you know what? Let's go to FT. FT, what's your opinion on this video?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the initial interaction when the cop started saying orders was a little bit unprofessional. He started swearing, but you know, he can do that. I do think it was a little bit excessive. It seems like the citizen was confused why they were being detained. And that wasn't really articulated to them. But, you know, I do have to say, you know, that he wasn't necessarily complying with the officer's orders. But then the officer did body slam him, and I don't think that was proportional force or that force was warranted. And then also, I think there's fabricated charges involved because he got booked for public intoxication, even though he wasn't intoxicated, clearly.
Well, can you say from video that the man wasn't intoxicated?
Not from, I guess not from this point.
I think you've seen this video before.
But I have seen this video before, so I guess I'm coming from insider knowledge. But
okay,
yeah.
So let's hold up there. So you agree that the officer could have been more professional, and you think that it was excessive force, more force than was warranted for compliance?
Yes.
Okay, John, in North Carolina, what do you think about that? By the way, John's law enforcement experience is out of North Carolina. Mine's out of Texas, and Jason's is out of Minnesota, just to give you an idea. You'll see some differences, how officers are trained from different states and how sometimes they see things. But, John, what's your assessment of the video?
So kind of like FT, I think, first of all, the officer kind of started off on a bad foot with the foul language. It's also apparent, and I'm assuming, but it looks to me like he's had interaction with this individual before, kind of may know that he may have some history of resisting or not complying, not listening, public intoxication, whatever the case may be. So I think he kind of, assuming how things was going to go, he kind of got ahead of himself. I don't know that I would have handled it that way. I think I'd have been a little bit nicer and tried to explain, what I needed him to do a little more than what the officer was doing. His tone kind of set the stage for that as well.
I tell you what, let's go back Kingdom, let me get it adjusted just a little bit here. I want to hear the first words out of this officer's mouth to the person that was hit by the bike. And I think I'm just about there. Can I play it from where I'm at?
I said I was.
Okay, here we go. And I'm going to pause it after the first interaction between the police officer and the gentleman on the bike.
You all right?
We had a little hit to get together. He's being stubborn about getting checked out, but he said he all right.
I'm all right.
So we're just.
You all right?
I told him I want to take
No,
him down.
I ain't all right. I need about $1 million, and then I'll be all right.
Well, you ain't getting that, so.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Do y'all notice the difference in tone between talking to the citizen that's there helping the gentleman with the bike? Well, they're both citizens, so that's the one that's wasn't involved in the accident as far as on the bike versus the person who looks like they could be homeless. Did we notice a tone change there?
Yeah, that's what I was
100%.
talking about. His tone's
Right.
totally different with the bike guy.
Right, and I'm going to step all over Jason because I know what Jason's going to say on this. I've had enough conversations with him as far as his law enforcement philosophy, and he and I share one. This officer started out this contact to be negative. He goes on to he uses some swear words there, which is not really professional. But I'll tell you the thing that I'm most bothered by this is that you have a victim. I say a victim. You have a person that's been involved in a vehicle versus bike automobile accident. He pulls on the scene, sees that the guy's okay. The old man makes a bit of a joke. I need $1 million and I'll be fine. He doesn't, in my opinion, good verbal judo would have been to respond to that. Like, well, don't we all, if you find it, let me know type of thing. Something back to that instead of the retort that he made. But I think the most critical part of this is that he did not see this person as a victim. He saw this person as a potential arrestee. Because the next thing he asked for is, can you run him for me? Jason, is it normal in your department to run complainants or run victims that would be involved in a bicycle on vehicle accident?
I'm going to make an assumption that they've had a lot of contacts with this guy, and that's why that was said. I don't know that, but that would be the only time if it's for lack of a better term, a frequent flyer that they've had contacts with. On top of that, he is a victim. He was on a bike, got hit by a car. I would have not canceled medics. You need to, regardless of the past. No, I just would have handled it completely different. I thought the cop was rude.
100%. He was absolutely rude. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on this one. This one's a pretty clear cut. I do want to go back around the panel one more time. I will say that the agency that I worked at, if you ran a complainant or a victim of a crime without an asterisk like, hey, I run them because of this or run them because of that, you were probably going to get talked to in my agency, especially by the sheriff himself that had the opinion that people don't call us to go to jail. They call us for help. And it seemed like his interaction with this guy, and it could be because he is a common hook, but he didn't appear to know this officer. And I'll tell you, Dickinson's not a very large town. So I would imagine that police officers know their regular hooks. I don't know if he had prior knowledge of him being someone that may have outstanding warrants, which, it could be. But it almost appeared to me that he was looking to reason to jail that guy pretty much from the time he got out, and his interaction was just plain rude, especially here in Texas. We're not real kind to that kind of talk. But let's go back around. I'm going to go to FT. Just give me a final assessment. We're going to close this out and go to the next video. Actually, we're going to close this out and get into the spaces and see if we have any questions out of there or comments. Go ahead, FT.
Yeah, I just, y'all raised very good points. I think that, there was a switch in tone between, let's just say, the civilian and the person who was also a civilian, but maybe appeared to be more homeless. And I think that was also unacceptable. And yeah, I do think that the overall interaction was abrasive by the officer. And I believe that the officer kind of escalated things when it wasn't really necessary.
Okay. And I share that assessment. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll mirror what FT just said. Yeah, he already knew which way this was going to go, but I guess, quote, to be kind, he asked him if he was all right, and then he went on the possibly the assumption that he had some outstanding warrants or something like that. He, like Jason said, he's a frequent flyer.
Yeah, but even frequent flyers deserve respect. The way I look at it, and that's from a law enforcement stance, but it's also from a personal. We talk about officer safety. That's also an officer safety stance. If you treat people bad, they remember it. If you treat people with respect, they remember that as well. But I want to pitch this back. This is the first time we're doing it. Let's see how it works. I want to pitch it back to my co-host, Bruce Wayne and Big Ron back in the X space. I see we have Lawyer Joe that's in the X space with a mic. She may have an opinion on this as well. But any questions or comments from our friends over in the Night Court X space?
Anybody here got any questions they'd like to pose to the panel? Joe, we love your opinion.
Okay. Let me give a quick assessment on that. That officer has less than 5 years on the force. He was fired. His lieutenant was also fired because there was no indication that the man had been drinking. They used the in the arrest report, they said that there was a bottle with liquid that had the smell of alcohol in the basket. The gentleman now has a lawsuit against the Dickinson PD, which is rightfully so. He probably should get him a check on that because he was actually severely injured with a concussion and some closed head trauma because of being
said he wanted
body
$1
slammed.
million. It looks like the officer was nice enough to give him a good cause to get it. You know,
Well, you know what, Kingdom? I didn't think of it like that, but he answered his question or answered his wishes there. That I don't know if he'll get $1 million, but
public. I mean, something on the homeless guy smells like alcohol. Like, no shit.
Well, actually, the gentleman's not homeless. He's not
wasn't.
homeless. He's he's just one of those folks. You'll see him in small Texas towns for sure. I'm sure you see him in all across America in small towns. Just guys that they march to the beat of a different drum. But I did some research on him. No, he's not homeless. He does have a little bit of a criminal history on just petty stuff, mostly citations that he didn't pay, but wasn't a big criminal in the town. But my overall assessment of that police interaction and contact was negative, and it was negative on the police side. But it was rightfully handled. Dickinson PD did the proper investigation. They brought in a third party that didn't investigate it themselves, and it cost actually 3 officers the job. The lieutenant, the officer that we saw there, and there was another one that if you saw right at the end of the video that was standing there and actually ordered asked for the ambulance for the gentleman. All 3 of those lost their job, and I think rightfully so.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay, let's queue up. Let's go to Austin PD. This is a good one.
Do you want it to start at the 52-second mark?
Hey, real quick, Joe,
Oh.
which one, because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to make it tonight, where are the videos you guys are referring to?
I tell you what, I'm going to let my co-host in there kind of guide you to where we're at. You're going to have to, you can either follow the link and join us in the StreamYard that I sent you, but you can do it from where you're at. If you look in the pill, there's a live link that's associated to my timeline. If you click that, maybe Veteran can help you out, and Big Ron can help you out on how to turn the volume down. So you want your volume coming through the space, and you want to watch the video there because we're simulcasting the show. So we've got the video on the link there, and then we've got the audio inside the space here.
Yes,
In fact,
Joe. Go ahead.
I said I'm gonna give you a minute to get that sorted out because I want you to see this next video.
On that note, Joe, I was just looking through the video again, and I believe the victim, I'll call him a victim, ended up being deceased. They weren't necessarily able to link the injury directly to that, but it was definitely a factor.
You know, I didn't see anything about it. Go ahead, Veteran.
No, I just want to help Ms. Joe out. If you want to go to the pill, click on the link that shows his page and his post. You do not have to click on the video to keep a live video feed going. You can just click on his post if you don't have the capability of lowering the video while being in the pill or being in the space, and you can stay in the space while being on.
I've got both going, I think. I'm on my computer, so I've got the space, and then I've got a thing that says broadcast.
Okay, well, what you want to do is go to Joe or the link that's in the pill, and then that should take you to his page. And if it takes you straight into the video and all you see is his video, if you have an echo, try to lower the volume. If you can't, just back out and just be on the post itself where you can share and comment, and you'll still be able to keep up with the live feed while still being able to talk without the echo.
Okay, I've got that. I've got that where it says a video. I see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people like on the video part.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got that bass's volume on. Is that how I'm supposed to be doing it?
Yeah. Listen to the volume through the space and then just watch the live feed.
That's what.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm doing. So will the videos, I'm sorry, I am not tech savvy. Are the videos appearing in the thing that says like broadcast underneath it where I see the
Can you
No,
see
where you see
Yes.
where you see the black screen where the 5 people are in, the video shows, it'll be in that box, because you're looking at our live feed right now. It's just showing our icons.
Okay, yeah, and then I see, I think Kingdom Radio like live.
Yeah. Well, we're all live, but they just have an avatar.
Right, but you're actually, I see. I just want to make sure I have the right stuff. All right,
Yes,
I'm
you have
ready
the
now.
right
You've got the right stuff, and you'll know it here in just a second, because we're gonna
from the block.
we're gonna play. Go ahead,
Joe. Before you start, check back channel.
we may have a technical issue. We're still they're still saying it's too loud and a bit distorted. Kingdom, can we turn that feed volume down back into the room?
Sure. How about now? Give me a
Sound.
How about now?
Sound check now, Ron.
Give me about another 10%.
Less? How about now?
Yeah, that sounds good. When Joe was talking, it was really driving through the speakers.
How about now?
That's because she's loud and obnoxious. She's an attorney, so we have to adjust for that. We had our sound check prior to her getting in. So we love you, Joe. Okay, guys, we're going to our second video. This is Austin PD, and there's a little more going on in this one. Here we go. Let me predicate this a little bit more, a little pretext to it. This is a disturbance call at an apartment complex in Austin, Texas. And these are our officers arriving on the scene.
Deveria 6. I'm right outside. I see 2 males from the window just yelling. Yeah. Deveria 6. You can keep it open for now. It's just what you got. It's gonna be an elderly man and a younger whoever. Both look Asian. All right. Austin Police Department, open the door. Hey, he's got a gun! Gun! Shots fired. Subject is down. He's laying in the garage, or laying in the living room. He's trying to open the door. Move! Hey, stop! Don't move! I want to shoot you again! Stop moving or I'll shoot you again! Stop moving or I'll shoot you again!
Okay, well, let's go ahead and pull that one down. There's not much more happens after this other than there's no body cam footage that brings us to what happens once they actually get inside and make contact with the suspect. And I don't have any historical or background information to tell you what happened, but let's go with the first the first contact. And I want to go to Jason with that one first. Jason, I know you've been to calls like that, maybe not with the same outcome, but you've been to disturbance calls in the multifamily housing just like that. I'm sure of it. Well, what's your opinion on this one?
Just watching the video, what I saw, that the cop that stayed by the glass door, I thought that was a very tactical move, and you'd probably have 2 dead officers when that door was opened. So I'm fine with it. I think they did their job.
Okay, FT, what was your opinion on it?
For me, it happened pretty fast. I do agree that was a pretty tactical position. My thing is, I might have missed it. Did they announce that they were law enforcement?
Yeah, Austin PD opened the door.
Okay, yeah, then yeah, that's on them. When you hear the police, you probably don't want to bring a gun to the door. That's the easiest way you're gonna get shot.
Right, if you will, Kingdom, throw that video up. I want y'all to pay attention to what the first arriving officer does when he first gets there. Watch that window. He sees through the patio window as he gets there, and he knows that's where he's going. Now he holds up, and he signals to the other officers to watch that window. Of course, they didn't really do exactly, I think, what he wanted them to do, but they got through there. So responding to a disturbance, what you'll have is officers, sometimes it's not a good idea to park directly in front of the house. You want to kind of come up and you want to be listening to what's going in there. This officer was able to come around to the back, see through a sliding glass door, but he was also able to hear that this disturbance was ongoing. A lot of these calls you get there, that's one of the things you're trying to find out. Is it a 911 hang up? Is it a call that's an active disturbance, or is it a wife's mad because her husband come home drunk? All those scenarios can play out when it comes to a domestic disturbance call. But let's go to John. What's your assessment of that? And then we're going to go to Lawyer Joe in our night court space. But go ahead, John.
Yeah, I think he done an awesome job trying to assess what was going on, where he was at, what the tactical advantages were, and then kind of like trying to slow the other officers down so they wouldn't be seen. But obviously that didn't work. But yeah, that was a good tactical point, and yeah, that could have been bad.
Okay, Lawyer Joe, is there a lawsuit in there that you think you could find?
Absolutely not. I mean, this is one where I'm incredibly difficult on cops if I don't consider it 100% clean, but that's one where they were called to a disturbance, and having been the victim of domestic violence and child abuse too, like I've only ever had like one bad experience with one department, so I'm actually not as anti-cap as everyone thinks I am. But in something like that, the fact that they knocked on the door, they announced who they were, and the person in there, the 2 people in there, one, you had a possible victim in there, so they could have not. I mean, once they heard the screaming, they could have kicked the door down. There were exigent circumstances. There's a possible victim, but they didn't. They knocked. They announced who they were. I mean, and the guy pulls a gun and that's just, you're an idiot looking to die. I mean, that was 100% clean shoot. And since I have taken actually police case management class for 2 years, oh my God, you're right, the officer in the back, the one who's body cam, the fact that he had like an angled view and could see with reflections and in there, I think it was a brilliant move as long as they didn't shoot the girl that was in there.
No, I agree. I think the officers did a great job both on how to respond to a domestic disturbance call or a disturbance call. Doesn't necessarily come out as a domestic, just a disturbance call. I think that he had a good situational awareness. He approached cautiously. He did his evaluation and looked after his own officers' safety that were responding at passing along information that he knew. If you also notice in there, he was talking on the radio, so he didn't have to yell down the corridor to them, but he was talking on the radio directly to those other officers. When he was talking about the Asian male, 2 Asian males inside that they were yelling, he was giving them what he was relaying information he was seeing through the window prior to them knocking on the door. So I think it was good. I saw Spin made a comment that she hates that knock on the door. You are an ex-friend of mine if you knock on my door like you're the damn police, because that is a very distinct knock. We want to get your attention.
And they said, I'm sorry, didn't they say there was an older male and a younger female in there? Or did they say 2 males?
2 males. 2 males were inside the apartment. Asian is what he was saying.
A younger female. I guess I missed that. What do you, as a cop, do when you know there's someone in there who's more than likely not the aggressor, who's like how do you handle that? They pull the gun. You got to be careful, like, not to shoot the not bad guy. Like, how do you guys do that? How do you handle that?
Well, it depends on the situation, and I'll give you my point of view, then everyone else can give you their point of view, but it's situational. At that point, there was no one else in his field of view. That was a clean shot straight through the glass. There was no reason to be concerned with a backstop or inadvertent round hitting someone that's innocent or a victim. Now, if it's different, if he's got them clutched around the neck, as you see on the TV, hostage style, that would make it a different situation. I think he would have seen a different type of situation play out there. But Jason, you hear Joe's question? What do you think about that?
I agree with what you just said, and I want to also add into there, without that glass door, this is a completely different situation. The fact that there's an officer outside that can see that this guy was prepping, he yells gun, 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 and without that glass door, this thing is completely different. As far as the shooting goes, I mean, law enforcement literally has a millisecond to make a decision to use deadly force or not. And in this case, because that door was there, I think he actually saved his partner's lives. So he did a great job.
I have one more kind of procedural question for you guys. Seeing that they're in an apartment building, and we know how like thin walls apartment buildings are, when you guys train for that, do you like think about that? Do you train for that? Do you have like a shit? If we shoot through this, we might be shooting into the next apartment.
Well, you don't make blind shots. You do well-aimed shots is what you're trained to do. In center mass, let that body that the target that you're shooting into absorb every bit of that. But yeah, it's always in consideration. When I worked SRT and we run a lot of warrants, we actually would get bullets for our ARs for lower penetration just for that reason. Sheetrock doesn't stop a bullet. And it could be not just an innocent victim over there, but also if you're running a warrant, you could have officers in different rooms where you're actually shooting at each other in a real bad situation. But situational awareness is the key point. Situational awareness is the most difficult thing to train. I was impressed with that officer's situational awareness. He wasn't hot-headed. He wasn't quick to it. He made his evaluation, and he acted accordingly in a very swift and professional manner. But yes, backstop is what we call that, where the bullet's going to go if you miss, or where the bullet's going to go if you go through the target that you're shooting at, and what the ramifications of that could be. And there are times when officers will hold their fire. Hey, we've got a hand up in there, Ron. Let's go to the spin. Go ahead, spin, and then we're going to move to the next video.
Wow, way cool being able to see something like this by video. Congratulations in getting this up and running. That's but boy, that knock on the door, holy crap. They let you know they're not there to be your friend. That's for sure. Now, to Joe's answer or question, does a full metal jacket versus a hollow point?
I just lost the spin. Can y'all hear?
Yeah, we can hear Joe. We've got multiple hands up on our side also.
Yeah, I can.
I tell you what, let's get us down to our 1 minute mark. We got multiple hands in there. I can't see any on my side, so Ron, I'm gonna let you handle it. But let's work through some hands before we get too far ahead on videos.
All right, can you hear the spin, Joe?
I cannot hear. It may be a typical space problem we're having in there, but I cannot hear, and I don't think anybody in my studio can hear her either.
I can hear.
You can hear me?
I can hear
Who
you.
can hear me?
I can hear you.
Kingdom?
I can hear you too.
You bet. Go ahead with it. I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Now, distinguishing the difference between, they're not firing full metal jacket rounds. So wouldn't, the other ammo being hollow point, would that necessarily penetrate through walls and what have you?
Yes.
So hollow points will go through walls as well.
Yes. Now, will it go through that person's torso on a center mass shot, travel through the air because the air slows it down as well, and then hit that sheetrock and penetrate with enough force because it's going to have to go through 2 pieces of sheetrock, penetrate with enough force on the other side to do damage? I don't know. I don't think a lot of law enforcement carry hollow points anymore. I carried hydroshocks when I did. What do y'all carry, Jason? I don't think they're traditional hollow points anymore.
No, hydro.
Yeah, the hydroshock are real well. They give you a good punch, but they lose energy pretty quick once they pass through the body. So you don't have what we call an over-penetration problem so much. But just let you guys know, in all these police shootings, we're going to see backdrop is always an issue. You'll see that some officers take some care with it. Some officers don't. But I think it depends on how much threat their actual person is at the time. And we've got some videos we're gonna get that way with.
And we do have James with his hand up. Lanu.
Go ahead, James. I don't see anybody else's hand up, Ron. If there are, just line them up and we'll get to them. But go ahead, James.
All right. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Lanu. I was just going to mention that the audio from Spaces coming through the live feed on YouTube was incredibly muted, and it seemed like the police video was also very muted. I didn't hear any communication from that cop at all. I assumed he was talking, but I didn't hear anything. So I just wanted to let you guys know.
You mean the officer in the video, or like Jason talking? Which one was you couldn't hear at all?
The officer in the video, like when you said he was talking on his radio to the other officers, I was like, oh, he was? I didn't hear that at all. Not until shooting started and all I heard was yelling of, stop moving or I'll shoot you again or whatever. It's like, that's all I heard. I didn't hear any talking to the other officers or anything like that. I just saw hand motion. So I just wanted to let you know it was very, very quiet for the next video.
I appreciate you, James, and thank you. I'm going to pitch that back to our producer, in-studio producer, Kingdom. Is that something that you can turn a knob and make something happen there when we get to the videos?
Yeah. The problem with that one is he wasn't speaking very loud. He was whispering because the guy was like, fuck you, I'm going to kill you and all this shit. So like, oh shit, there's a guy over here and he's got a gun and he's about to fucking shoot somebody.
Yeah,
and then they were whispering. It wasn't very loud.
Yeah, they were using hand signals and whispering.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And you got to remember too, James, when I reviewed that and actually put the video into the queue, I was able to listen to it with headphones on. So that might make the difference there. But
it's all Joe Lanu's fault if you ask me, but
Well, of course, I won't dodge the responsibility. I'll take the responsibility on it. But guys, folks, please do give us that feedback. We are stitching this together, trying to make these X spaces be what we want them to be until Elon catches up with us. So let us know if we're having some issues there. We'll try to get it sorted out. But Veteran, you had a question, and then we're going to go to the next video.
More of a statement than a question. I mean, definitely a clean shoot. The tactical point where the gentleman was over there watching that window, perfect. Great grip on the pistol. It was just all around. I thought it was pretty clean. Definitely better than the first video where you had some officers that were a little agitated off the jump without, doing their due diligence on de-escalating the situation. But yeah, this one I thought was all around pretty damn good.
All right. I think we've all come to conclusion there. There's nothing to fight about it. I'm surprised Lawyer Joe didn't figure out the way there was a 1983 civil rights suit in that, but we'll go to the next one. I bet she won't hold that true on this next video. This next one's out of Frisco PD. This is a felony traffic stop. And for those of you who don't know what a felony traffic stop is, that's when law enforcement officer is going to pull you over. They're not going to come to your doorway. They're going to open the door like you see on TV and shut the highway down or the roadway down, and they're going to get on the radio, the PA system, and they're going to ask you to step out of the vehicle in a very polite manner. But this is a very long one. I'm going to let the first part of it go because I want you to hear what's going on the radio traffic. It's very important to this situation that you're about to see.
And we will say there's 186 people currently watching these collaboration of live streams, so that's a good start.
That is not a bad start. We'll take it. But here we go. I'm going to let the first of it run just a bit, but pay attention to the radio traffic.
Looks like 3 occupants and 1 male in the back seat.
Showing 3 occupants, 1 in the back seat.
We're going to move that forward. She's sitting on the side of the road waiting for other units to respond.
Yeah, let's call him out. 51 dispatch, can you hear me?
Affirmative.
You do a felony stop.
Copy, felony stop.
Everyone get down. Everyone put their hands outside the window. Do it now. Driver, open up your car door from the outside of the vehicle. Do it now.
So what's happening is, you've seen this on television and other police videos. They've got their highway shut down, and they're calling each one out by their position in the car to exit the vehicle, and they'll bring them back one at a time and detain them. And I'm going to advance this a little bit because they're not real quick there in Frisco on getting them out of the car. I believe this thing was occupied 5 times, 2 in the front, 3 in the back. So they do this 5 times to get every person out of the car. Here's your driver.
Oh, relax. Put your hands behind your back. Come on, step back here.
Now, I'm from this area. Where they're standing is the Dallas North Toll Road. It's a very, very busy highway. And you notice they're in the highway themselves. They've shut it down.
Whose tag is that on the car? Come back here. What happened? Is that your tag on the vehicle?
Yeah, I'm from Arkansas, Little Rock. I'm a nurse. I've never done anything in my life.
Where'd you get the tag from? Has that always been the same tag on the vehicle?
Yes,
Step
ma'am.
back here. Step back here.
What?
Okay. So you always had that tag on?
Ma'am, ever since I've had my car.
Okay.
I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. I've never been in trouble
Relax,
in my
put
life.
your hands down.
This
Relax.
is scaring the hell out of me.
Relax. Ma'am.
I have bad anxiety.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Relax. Okay. So, are y'all here out of town? Where are you coming?
We're a tournament. We're in Super 64 Nationals. Look at my baby.
Nothing's gonna happen to him. Nothing's gonna happen to him. As long as your kids in the car.
All right, we're going to move it forward a little bit. That's the first contact made from any person in the car by law enforcement, and I wanted you to hear that. Now, we're going to fast forward a little bit. She's questioning this person. If I can get it stopped at the exact point where she explains why, actually I may have passed it, why they're doing all this.
Is this your car? your car? Yes. Okay. 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 Come on. Who's tag?
My life.
Where'd you get the tag from? Has that always been the same tag on the vehicle?
Yes,
Step
ma'am.
back here. Step back here.
What?
Okay. So you always had that tag on?
Ma'am, ever since I've had my car.
Okay.
I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. I've never been in trouble
Relax.
a day in my life.
That's the key there. The Frisco PD officer runs the plates of this vehicle that's occupied 5 times. And it comes back out of Arkansas. It's Arkansas plates, so she's running it out of Arkansas. She does that either from her mobile unit or through her dispatch. I'm pretty sure Frisco's running through mobile units. And it comes back as a fictitious plate. It comes back that plate is not issued to a vehicle and shouldn't be on a vehicle. And as law enforcement, we look at things like that as that's possibly a stolen vehicle or some other rather serious crimes that are being committed, or probable cause that these crimes have been committed. This is the reason they did the felony traffic stop, because if it's a stolen car occupied 5 times, whoever has that car probably knows it's stolen and it's not going to go easy, or it's a felony. It's definitely a felony. So that's when a felony stop for officer safety and the occupant's safety as well. Truthfully, it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but truthfully for the occupant's safety as well, to try to stop from a foot pursuit or a vehicle pursuit. So that's why they went through the great pains of shutting this down. She runs the plate out of Arkansas and it comes back with fictitious plates. So that's kind of where we're at in this traffic stop. And I'm going to go a little bit regular run time, and then I'm going to advance it closer to the end.
This is scaring the hell out of me.
Ma'am,
I have bad anxiety.
Okay.
I'm trying.
Relax. Okay. So are y'all here out of town? Where are you coming?
We're a tournament. We're in Super 64 Nationals. Look at my baby.
Nothing's gonna happen to him. Nothing's gonna happen to him. As long as your kids in the car. Ma'am, I need you to talk to me.
My son and my nephew, we're on the way to a tournament.
Okay. Where?
Frisco?
Okay.
No, Grapevine Fieldhouse.
So when I ran your tag, it comes back that plate was removed, or it's not associated with your car whatsoever.
Ma'am, no.
So it's making
I
us.
have registration.
No, you're good. Well, that's why I'm talking to you. We're gonna figure it out.
Did somebody take it?
Let me explain to you, and then I'll let you.
It's stressing me out. I've never done anything in my life.
You haven't done anything.
All right, we're going to advance it. They do this 5 times or 4 more times. It's done once already.
She's never done anything wrong in her life, ever.
Well, as far as the law goes, that could be correct. But we do have a problem with a fictitious tag on the license plate. When I say tag, I'm talking license plate. We do have a problem with that.
Hey, I don't understand. She said her.
Did you not run that out of Arkansas?
I did. AR. I did. She said it should be in the glove box registration. You said the key's on the floor? Okay.
Now it's starting to look like through some acute investigative skills that this doesn't appear to be anything wrong with this car. This family doesn't fit. And by the way, it's a family. 3 boys and a mother and father in the car.
Where's the keys at?
This is my wife's stuff right here.
What's your name, sir? So I stopped you initially, okay? So that's your wife, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so over by the, let's step over here and talk. Let me explain to you what's going on and why everything's happening the way it is, okay? One, if everything checks out, we're good. Okay, so what happened is, I ran your registration over by the hotels where you're all right? So I ran your tag, came back to associated essentially with no vehicle, right?
Okay.
So I confirmed it with my dispatch because I'm like, that's weird. Like, it's weird. So I'm like, okay. Normally when we see things like this, like it makes us believe the vehicle.
All right, I'm gonna cut to the chase. And what she said there is correct. Normally when we see things like this, it leads us to believe the vehicle could be stolen. Her problem was she ran it out of Arizona, and I'd have to catch the exact moment. And pardon me for not having that timestamp down. I should have done that because I did want you to hear it. Another officer, the first officer, the question said, did you run this out of Arkansas? And she says, yes, AR. During that conversation, he goes off and he runs the vehicle again. He's not having a problem finding this tag in Arkansas. It's all good. Then he does it and he runs it with a Z, and out of Arizona, it shows to be a fictitious or non-issued plate. So that's the whole context of this stop here. We can go ahead and drop that video, if you will, Kingdom, and let's go to our panel.
Yeah, we did hear that.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yeah.
So yes, this was literally an officer's mistake. It was a typo, and what a typo can actually bring out, and you know, and as an officer, and y'all have heard me say this before, it's not necessarily personal to us, but it is personal to you. If you get stopped on the side of the highway, you're out of town, and you've got two boys that are playing some pretty good baseball. I believe that's what they were playing, but they're doing some. That's not Little League that those young men were playing, and to get pulled out of the car at gunpoint on a highway that's shut down, that's some stuff you're going to remember. You'll be talking about that for some years. But let's go around the panel, and what's your first initial thought on that, Jason?
Well, up here, we don't do felony stops unless we get an NCIC hit on a stolen vehicle and it's confirmed. So just because a plate comes back, regardless if you ran it wrong or not, as anything other than a reason to perform a felony stop, it's got to be NCIC hit, it's confirmed stolen, and then we move forward. I think that a plate not on file, I think they went a little overzealous. If that was me, I just would have walked up. I would have done a normal traffic stop. I wouldn't have gone that far.
And you know what? I don't disagree. I don't think I would have done a not on the hit that I got. I most likely would have walked to the door and just said, "Hey, what's up with your license plate?" But I agree. You can in Texas. Well, depending on the agency, and I think Frisco's one of it. My agency, you could if you had even that enough of a hit, you could do a felony traffic stop. Now, would I've done one on a major highway? Man, because that's a problem. If you don't have a felon in that vehicle, or it's not a real felony stop, Jason and I know what it'll be years for you to live that down. Years.
Yeah, and can I comment on that, Joe?
You bet. Go ahead.
The other thing I don't think people realize is where officers decide to stop a car. That's a great point, because we will wait for a vehicle to get to a spot where it presents the most safe environment to perform that stop. So that if she wanted to do a felony stop, I would have followed until there was a safe place to do so.
That is an excellent point, and that has a tendency to be rookie officer syndrome. I've got PC for a stop, or I've got reason for a stop, and they just hit the overheads. But if someone is on the highway, go a couple of exits even to see if they're going to exit. Getting off the highways are better for a traffic stop. It's safer for everyone involved. But I won't say that I knew a rookie once that maybe caught somebody driving around a school bus with the stop sign and red lights going, and actually children crossing over. I might have, or this officer might have turned their overheads on as that person that I was about to stop was pulling in to drop their kid off at school, and had to sit in the line to get out of the school before I could actually make the traffic stop. Didn't look real smart there, but that's some of that comes back to lack of experience and kind of being a rookie. But a wise officer is going to look like, if I got to stop, because we stop when we want. We trigger, as police officers, we triggered the lights. We make the stop happen. But let's go to FT. What you got to think about? What do you got to say about this one, FT?
Yeah, I think the first thing for me is, maybe this is standard procedure, but having the people in the vehicle open the door from the outside seems a little bit odd to me. I can get in terms of like making sure hands are where they're supposed to be, but like, there are some cars, like let's say like the Rivian, actually not the Cybertruck, for instance, that doesn't really have a way to do that. So that's one of my concerns, is that might not be good standard practice or SOP in the long run, as cars have unique ways of opening doors. The second thing is, the AZ and AR, single-handedly triggered that. And we've seen in other cases where when when you're being held at gunpoint, just the wrong movement can end your life, and it could just be where the officer just perceived that as a threat. So it was a really insane response for what ended up being just like a family going. And I think maybe as was said earlier, if the officer just like maybe approached and saw, oh wait, this is a family, and then maybe we should maybe we should see what's going on and ask more probing questions than pulling guns out. That might have been a better interaction. But and then the last thing is, like, as you were saying, Joe, yeah, I think they should have waited if they really thought it was a felony stop, because for one, like, the officer had to wait anyways for backup, so you could have killed two birds with one stone, finding a safer place while also having backup come. I'm not sure if that would have given away with the lights coming, if they heard, but I feel like people on the highway, if they hear lights and sirens, they don't necessarily think it's for them, especially if they're not doing anything wrong. But those are just my thoughts.
Joe, can I respond to
You
that real
bet.
quick?
You go right ahead, sir.
So you answered your question with your next question. The first point was having the person inside reach out and open their door and push the door open. And then the next question was, you can get shot with any affirmative movement. So the reason that happens is just basically was your next question. If somebody opens the door from the inside and pushes the door open, it's very easy to slip a gun underneath your armpit and start firing back at the cops. The reason that we want them to open the door from the outside, because it's not convenient or physically, it's physically restrictive to have a affirmative action there. So the reason we do that is to keep them safe and not have that opportunity to fire at us or present a weapon.
Yeah, that's 100% correct. I want to add a little bit more to this one, and that is that she had 4 years on the force. She had been she hadn't been a police officer very long, and I will say that it's can be a common rookie mistake, to maybe not to the point where you're proning out on Dallas North Tollway, but making these type of mistakes can happen as a rookie. Let's go to John, and then we're going to go to hands inside the space.
So one thing I was taught from the get-go is double check. I mean, if it's not like something imminent or something like that going on, I mean, just because the tag comes back fictitious or not on that vehicle, I've always double checked, make sure I didn't have a typo, whether it be the state code or alphanumeric or whatever. And back to Jason's point, I mean, it wasn't nothing pressing. She could have waited till got off to a safer spot, follow them a little bit. And at that time, also be double checking while you're trolling down the road. But 4 years, yeah, I don't know. I mean, people make mistakes, but yeah, I wouldn't have done it on the highway. And the other thing, I don't know how other states are, but we've got cars in our state that are either UC cars for other agencies, 3-letter agencies, and you run them and they'll come back the same way. So, I mean, that being said, if you did that and whether it was the right plate or state or whatever, and it's one of those, I mean, that could be bad doing a felony vehicle stop on a federal agent or something like that. So
actually, I would pay good money and offer to represent any cop who did that to a Fed.
so yeah, I mean, I just always double check. That's just me though.
Well, I tell you, John, I did undercover work, and every one of my vehicles had a proper tag on it. But I've been proned out. I think it's safer for all parties involved, because me as a police officer, I know exactly what's about to happen. I'll follow the steps. I'll comply, and I'll get out of that vehicle. It won't be any issues. I think where things can go wrong is when you have emotions. And I'll go back and say again that for us police officers, a felony stop is exciting. Even it's not emotional. It's not the worst day of my life. But the folks inside that car, it could very well be the worst day in their life. That's when furtive movements come into hand. That's why we do FT. We want you to reach out that and have a cumbersome way of getting out of that vehicle. It takes you off guard, but it allows us to see exactly what's going on as you exit that vehicle. It's for the safety of all. And a good felony stop, if everybody's listening and police officers are very clear. I have a big issue when multiple officers are giving commands. We've seen some things here recently where that hasn't turned out so well. One should be a caller, one should be a doer when you've got more than one officer. But let's go to some hands. I saw some up in there. Robert, our Oregon friend, had his hand up. Let's go to some questions out of the space.
Yeah, I was just agreeing with what Ron was saying. If you're putting yourself in the officer's position, you want to go home every day. So you're going to treat different circumstances differently, obviously. And if it's a felony one, then standard protocol would be to do what they did. Now, if they held him there until everything got checked, thrown, that would be wrong. But just for their safety until they at least Terry frisked him or something, checked the car out. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go to Joe. Actually, folks, I missed my top of the hour. This is a special space for us. We're doing a simulcast, both video and through our X Space, our normal night court show. For anybody that's listening that doesn't know where the second link is, if you'll look in the Jumbotron above, there is another link for another night court special edition. If you'll click that, you'll be able to watch the video and see the panels speakers as we do a video X Space show live simulcast. So anybody in the space that just got in here or hasn't been in very long, hit that link at the top and turn the audio down on the live link and listen to your audio through your spaces. And it seems to be working real well. But also, hey, shoot this out and let's retweet it and repost it, see if we can get some more folks in. I'm pretty excited about the way this is going. And now let's go to, you know what? I'm going to go to Joe and then Veteran. Go, Joe.
I had one thing to kind of say and ask because I'm the question asker. I got pulled over for a simple traffic stop. It was a while ago. And having a degree in criminal justice and law, I'm really, really careful about, I don't take my hands off the steering wheel. I wait until the officer approaches the window. And then they ask me, for driver's license and insurance registration, whatever they ask for, and everything's in my purse. So I always announce, I say, I'm going to take my right hand, I'm going to reach into my purse at there's a black wallet. I'm going to pull the black, and I go through all that. One cop told me to stop wasting his time when I did that. And I was kind of shocked because I thought that's the way I was taught by like 3 different cops in my undergrad program how to do it. So how do you feel when people either don't do that or they do it? Was I wrong to do that, or was he just being impatient?
I'm going to let Jason handle that one, and then I can back him up on it or say my comments on it as well. Go ahead, Jason.
I think that's very respectful, and yeah, good for you. I wish everybody was like that.
No, I don't think it's
older, and he seemed a little grumpy, but I was just like, no, I'm going to keep telling you what I'm doing with my hand. And I never moved my left one. And he's like, well, just grab. I'm like, no, I'm not going to just grab it. I'm like, how do you know what I'm grabbing for? I started to kind of get snippy because I'm like, I'm trying to protect you and me, buddy. And then I would only do things with one hand. And he was just getting really impatient. And so I was like, am I doing it wrong? Am I being ridiculously careful? Or is he just an impatient old fart? Thanks.
I don't know that I would have said anything to you other than the questions I'll ask when people are being too descriptive about what they're doing is like, are you going to shoot me? No, I'm going to say, well, I'm not going to shoot you either. Just grab your documents. Most of the time, officers made that assessment by the time they've walked up to the window and just a few seconds back and forth. You can tell when somebody's nervous or somebody's got something up. But I don't think you're wrong by doing it. I wouldn't appreciate it maybe as much as others do.
Well, he was a little, like I said, finally I was just like, no, I just graduated from law school, so I'm just extra careful about everything. I don't know. I would rather do that than, have a young skittish cop who's like, oh, what are you doing? So I just wondered, because they had to do with the whole traffic stop thing that those people were obviously really nervous, but not the kind of we're up to something nervous. So I just thought I'd get some professional opinion.
I can tell you the biggest thing for me is when I walk up to a car, and it's been a while since I've done that, but I look for honesty and I look for sincerity. I ask for your driver's license. There's no argument. It's just a conversation. And as soon as that conversation starts to go bad, that makes my neck hairs kind of rise up. Like, what's going on here? So just be a person. Just walk up. I mean, police officers are just like everybody else in this room. We all have a heart and 2 lungs. We're all human beings. We all want to go home, and we don't want trouble. So just be nice on both sides.
I can see where me doing what I do is kind of weird. But again, my criminal justice instructors, I took all the classes with the academy guys. So when they were like, make sure you're clear about what you're doing, make sure you're very, open about it and honest about it. So I do that. And I've had one cop, he kind of snickered. He's like, appreciate that, but we're going to be here all night. And, I was like, okay, like I said, I probably look like a weirdo, but at the same time, I'd rather look like a weirdo than make the officer or me uncomfortable. And, the fact that when the people are like, do you know I pulled you over? Yeah, I was probably speeding more than likely. I've gotten out of more tickets being honest and saying that. Just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, that's actually the best advice you can give. Just be a person. We expect when we pull someone over, we expect there to be a person inside that car. And if anything's everything's odd, then that can make your hair stand up. It can make are they nervous because they're getting pulled over? Are they nervous because they've got a body in the back? Are they nervous because they're waiting for an opportunity to get the draw on me? So there's a lot of different things there. I don't think there's one way to handle it. Those who teach, those who teach sometimes can drive you up, I think. I think if you just get pulled over, obviously furtive movements, which is, reaching under the seat or making a lot of movements when you get pulled over. Best place for your hands to be on the steering wheel. Some say palms up, but I don't do that. Just put them on the steering wheel. That way you can see both my hands, and I'm waiting for the contact at that point. But just be a person. Let's go to veteran. What you got to say about this, veteran?
Yeah, just to go off of what Joe was talking about. I was on my way to Florida in Alabama. Did a U-turn, wasn't legal, not gonna lie. Got pulled over. There was a guy sitting there watching, trooper. I did the same thing. I do carry, and I told him, I was like, hey, sir, my wallet's right here. I just want to let you know my pistol's right there, and I just want to let you know that. And he was like, I appreciate that. You go right ahead. And I think that's just the best way. Unfortunately, that seems like you had a really grumpy guy right there. But my question was, in Kentucky, the plate, different plate that doesn't match the vehicle, that is a felony stop here too. Is that in every state, or is that just, is that all the way around, or is that just a certain thing for different states? Didn't know if you guys knew that.
I think it goes by agency, but I'd like for Jason to actually answer that. But I think you'll have your different policies from agency to agency.
Typically up here for a felony stop, you have to, like I said before, if the plate doesn't match the car, that's a good indicator that, number one, NCIC would probably hit off that it's a stolen plate. So when we run a plate and it comes back as a stolen vehicle or a stolen plate, then we confirm it. So it's John said this earlier. It's this double step thing. So number one, plate doesn't match the car. Is the plate stolen? No. Okay. I don't believe it's a felony in Minnesota. I don't know if we would do a felony. I mean, every stop is different. It's in-house contacts, and there's a lot of research done before we turn those lights on up here to confirm, double confirm, check in-house, and make sure that we have a reason to stop this car if it goes bad. So that's up here. I don't know what down there is.
It's no different down here.
In Ohio, it's a second and third degree misdemeanor, I'm pretty sure.
See, it's a felony here in Kentucky.
Hold up. Motor vehicle theft is a misdemeanor in Ohio?
No, didn't he ask about mismatched plates?
Oh yeah, it's a misdemeanor in Texas as well. But the indicator is if I've stolen a car, I can put on grandma's expired plates on there, and the cops would never know. So it's an indicator that you could have more going on in that vehicle.
Right.
Now, whether it
Oh,
should
okay.
be
I
a
thought
felony
you-
stop or not, I don't know. And you're not going to see it in any policy where if you run into this is the exact stop that you do. It's officer experience, it's officer training, totality of the situation, totality of the evidence makes a determination on what a police officer's course of action should be.
Well,
and then you've got 1,000 schools of thought on that. And I just stepped on somebody. My apologies. Go ahead.
No, that was me. Joe, if you're riding in Frisco, I mean, luckily it was this lady and she's a mom and she's a nice person and she has her family. But if it was somebody who was a little agitated or someone who maybe looks like they could be a little scary and you block, the whole entire highway and got 7 different police officers and you're like, hey, what's going on? That definitely could start a confrontation that never would have started in the first place.
I'd push back. If it's suicide by cop, if you get yourself in a felony stop situation with that many units, they got the roadway blocked. She wasn't the only one standing behind a doorway with a pistol out. You've got no cover, and that car is not going to be enough cover for you if it starts to go bad. So that's one of the reasons of the felony stop, and you do it with overwhelming force. The show of force is a deterrent for one to let it get sideways.
I'm talking about the guy on the bicycle. It's like, hey, I've never broken a law in my life. I don't have a criminal history. I bought this car. This car is licensed. Everything's legal. Everything's legit. And here you are pulling me out, like doing all this stuff. I can see like a confrontation starting and then the police taking over and something crazy happening there. I mean, that's from a pedestrian. I'm not a police officer. But
I'll say, and Jason, you can, my other law enforcement brothers in here, y'all can give me your opinion on it, but I don't know that there's a lot of evidence that it happens that way, that you have like an individual with a bicycle accident that just gets rubbed wrong by the way the police are talking to him, and then it's on a felony stop type of situation, and then it spins out. Typically, they're going to comply. They may pitch and moan and throw their fit once they get back there and get the handcuffs on them, but they're going to comply with what the officers are asking them to do on a felony stop. But the biggest issue there is that it does do some damage. It is a show of force. It is a use of force, matter of fact, on the occupants of that vehicle. And when it comes down to a typo on a keyboard, it doesn't feel real professional and it doesn't feel real fair. I don't know what happened to the officer. I know she was reprimanded, but I think she actually may have been let go by Frisco PD after that incident. But I don't know if it was the only one or there's some other issues. But let's get to another video. And Kingdom, you've got the rest of them loaded on there. I've shot my 3 out. I'll take any one that you're ready to put up.
Which one we got? KC?
We could do that one.
Deputy.
You can drive it, no?
Got it.
We got 257 people watching.
Actually, my friend, I cannot. Those that you're loading up, I have no control over. But this is a short one. Just let it run. The audio will kick in here.
Just bring your bag out here. Ma'am, stop going through it. Come step right back here. What did you take out of it?
Nothing. I was
Okay. All right, listen. Just come back here. I think we're getting off on the wrong foot, okay?
Because I'm really confused on why I'm getting stopped.
He's got several warrants.
Okay, that has nothing to do with me.
You don't know who's in the car.
Nobody's in our car.
Well, now I know that. However, now I'm going to address the other problems.
Okay, so you want my bag and all my belongings.
So just step right back here.
Can I use the restroom?
And let you know this is being audio and video recorded, just to let you know.
Okay.
23, if you did have one more, that would be good.
Stop.
You're doing drive and for church, doing drive and for church.
Can we step back here?
21 to 23, do you need me code 3?
Negative, just code 2. So it's just in here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, was there...
Well, I'm about 5 minutes from you.
Is this?
He was shut in the bathroom, in the dark, sitting on the toilet seat.
Well, somebody's got an open mic in the bathroom.
Is he an idiot? He asked.
23 to 25.
He got pulled over because the my name is on the car, and he wanted to know if he was in the code, but he's not in the code. But I do got weed.
Hey, are you available?
I'm right here in the Dollar General.
Are you trying to be in a couple minutes?
Got what is these?
Brick Church,
Brick Church.
and Ewing.
13, can I have you starting route? You're about 4 minutes away. Disregard, actually, disregard on that.
Kingdom, let's pause it there. Jason, and I'm going with Texas law, but what probable cause do you think he has to go that far as the bag? From the way I understand what he said he stopped her because the tag comes back. It's associated with somebody who's got some warrants. And yeah, you can do that. It's not always the best way to do it, but you could make a traffic stop. But I think you're better to develop your own probable cause. But he never explained what the probable cause beyond that right there. The fact that this car was registered to someone associated with some warrants. But it did you see any problems with him grabbing the bag and going into the bag in the manner that he did?
Yeah, traffic stop is done once he identifies. Her windows were really dark, so once you walk up and you realize that it's not the person with the warrants, you just started the fruit of the poisonous tree. That whole case is dismissed.
Right, and I say that because you guys have heard me say that before, that a good police officer always evaluates where his feet are at, and does he have legal authority to be where he's at? If he does, then he can continue and make that evaluation before you make the next step. Now, he does say we've got some other problems and we'll deal with that, but he never explained it to the person that he stopped. He just automatically went into the bag, and of course he finds at least a misdemeanor offense inside the bag. But I'm with Jason. I don't think any of that would hold up in court. But go ahead and finish out the video, Kingdom. Let's see how fruitful this stop was.
What about like when he pulled up and she's like taking stuff out of her bag and putting it somewhere? You're like, whoa, what's going on? What are you taking out of your bag? What's the deal here?
She's a free American to do whatever she wants to do.
I will say from an officer.
No, what were you saying?
He didn't have, from a legal point of view, she wasn't under official detention. She wasn't under arrest. And he had no probable cause to go through her stuff. So, I mean, I don't care unless he sees her throw anything she throws out of the bag's fair game, but anything in it until he's got probable cause to make an arrest or probable cause to detain, he can't ask her. I mean, he can ask her and she can tell him to go fuck himself.
I don't think, hold up. I disagree. I don't think we're at a consensual stop at this point. He's got the lights on. He's pulled her over. He's told her she can't go to the bathroom. I say we have constructive custody at this point.
Well, she's detained, but until you, in Ohio, you can make a search incident to a lawful arrest. But if he were to arrest her at that point, it would be unlawful. So he can't make a search at all. So he could ask her to put the bag down.
Well, hold up. I'm not talking about the bag. I think we're all in agreement as far as anyone spoke so far that I don't see his legal authority go into the bag, but I will say that she is not free to go. She is in constructive custody or detained.
Well, yeah. I mean, most people don't know the difference. I keep forgetting I'm talking to people who do. Well, she's under arrest. She's not. No. Yeah, she's being constructively detained right now. She's not free to leave, but she is not under arrest. But I thought we were still talking about the bag because whoever it was asked about what about her, reaching the bag, throwing something out. And I was like, anything she throws out is fair game. He can look at it, touch it. But if it's not, he can't tell her that he's going to look in the bag. He can tell her not to reach in it, but he can't look in it. That's.
But let me ask this to Kingdom. You mentioned that she was kind of flopping some things out of the bag and maybe even some furtive movements around the bag. Do you think that that could have given the police officer some sort of authority or to search the bag since she had appeared to be so concerned with it?
I mean, he pulled out, I don't know, it would look like a bag of weed or something like that. So, I mean, for him to say, yeah, I smelled some weed, or if she was like fumbling around with a gun, you're like, whoa, it's a gun. You're like, oh, I have no reason to pull you over because whatever. I mean, once you see something and they roll down that window and you smell what you smell and see what you see, I mean, it's hard to really put yourself in that guy's position. I'm not trying to defend the police officers, but I mean, I can understand that there's a situation going on and he's trying to figure out what's up.
No, and I don't disagree with you. Could have been the odor of marijuana that he smelled. It just seems to me the way I would have done it, and I say the way I would have done it, I didn't do it. I wasn't there. I may have done it exactly the way he did it, but in my mind, I don't believe that I would have been so concerned about what was in that bag before doing a little more talking and trying to sort out what was really going on in the stop. But let's finish out the video. It's not very long. Let's see how this gym ends.
13, it says you're about 7 minutes away.
I'll get it for you in a second, okay?
So you drive
Oh, right there in your
at the Dollar General. Can I have you start from 23?
You scaring me.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on. Here, do me a favor, turn.
No, hold
Turn
on.
around.
Don't put me in handcuffs. I haven't done anything wrong.
Ma'am.
No, don't put me
You're about to get tased. Get down! Get down on the ground! Down on the ground!
Pause it. Jason, I just want to get your opinion. I don't think he got that was an effective taser deployment.
No. Go ahead.
Do you know why? I know it's not. It's almost 100% females who's tased. They don't scream. Men scream like babies when they get hit. But how she's still screaming. So I don't know where the probes went, but both of those are not in there. So they're making contact to light her up because she's screaming too much. Women just don't do it. Have it been your experience as well?
I can't comment on that. Taser's effective sometimes and sometimes it's not. But I think this whole thing, if you go back to it, what was the reason for the stop? You walk up to the car, it's not the driver. And she gave me indicators, okay, something's going on here. So the reason for any traffic stop, you just need reasonable suspicion. And then you develop your probable cause. I think his officer safety was horrible. I would never let a person dig through a car with their back to me. As an officer, you have to decide, am I moving forward this or aren't I? And he's searching the bag while she's digging through the car. And he finds something. So I'm not criticizing the officer. I just think that he stopped the car because there was a warrant for the RO, which is a registered owner. Walks up and there's a different driver, but she's being weird. I'm fine with where he went to it, but he lost control of that whole thing instantly.
I think you assumed he had control of it from the beginning, but I don't disagree with everything you just said. But let's go ahead and finish out the video.
No way. We're going to talk about this one.
Oh, I know we are.
Definitely. He said you're under arrest and she started running. I mean, that's opposite of what an innocent person does. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But
that's effective taser on a female.
Ma'am, put the gun down! Put the gun down!
I can't see the video. Is it not?
23 shots fired! Shots fired!
10-4, 13, keep at that code 3.
I'm hit.
Wait for it.
Step out. Ma'am, put the gun down! Put the gun down! 23 shots fired! Shots fired!
10-4, 13, keep at that code 3.
I'm hit.
Okay. Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I'll go back to the original thing. He lost control of that when he walked up to the car. The whole thing made me uncomfortable.
FT, your assessment.
Wow, this is a doozy. I think like originally, I'm a little bit unsure of the RAS, a reasonable articulable suspicion, or probable cause after the officer identified that it wasn't the owner. I think definitely the fruit of the poisonous tree comes into play then.
Well, let me ask you this: is law enforcement required to tell you the probable cause?
No, they're not, but they have to have it. They have to
So
articulate it to a judge.
so he could come back later after, I guess, getting patched up from his wounds and say, "I smelt the odor of marijuana," and that would given him probable cause to go through the bag and continue the traffic stop, right?
It depends on if in that state if the smell is enough for probable cause. I know in Massachusetts it's not anymore, but I'm not sure other states.
Massachusetts have legalized marijuana.
Yes.
I think that's your deciding factor. I think the odor is always probable cause because it's very distinct and it can't be necessarily confused for any other. But yeah, I'm not sure if that. But I'm just playing devil's advocate that this officer might have had probable cause. He just didn't articulate it, and we don't see it. It could have been a turn signal violation. There could have been another traffic violation prior to the stop. He just didn't handle it well. He definitely didn't do a good 7-point traffic stop, explaining who you are, what the stop for is, and kind of continuing. There's actually procedures for that. So no, I agree. He had no control, and that's not the first traffic stop I'm sure that this gentleman's been on that he didn't have control. But go ahead, FT. I stepped all over you. Go ahead and finish.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, that those are really good points. And yeah, and then the decision to move to an arrest. I think that's also contingent on whether the amount of marijuana that was found was enough for an arrest. But I definitely, I agree with you. The taser deploy wasn't good, and then when he got like skin to skin contact for the deploy, she pulled the gun out. I will commend the officer. It seems like he had some hesitation, even with a gun drawn, for her to put it down, and I couldn't really tell, but it looked like she fired the first shot. I'm not sure. Either way, I also think that the individual who was in the car, she threw the gun down afterwards, which was pretty interesting. To me, it seems like she wasn't necessarily intending it to go down the way it was, but that's just conjecture at this point. She could have been scared that she didn't see that there was any probable cause. Maybe she thought that this was an unlawful stop, and she had the jurisdiction because it was not, she couldn't be detained because it wasn't a stop. I don't know, but it was just very tragic on both ends. Because I think she ended up dying and the officer recovered, if I'm correct.
I believe you're correct. And I'm not sure who shot first in that situation. I think it was the driver that sparked off the first round. The most interesting part about the taser is that when he shot the probes, she's screaming, but when he actually hit her with the drive stun, that's when they put the end of the taser directly to the skin and hit her with it. Y'all notice she didn't scream anymore. She locked up. It's weird between male and female. I've heard it. When I went through training on taser, they spoke about it, and I've seen it in real life as well. Men will scream like a little girl, and women get real quiet when that energy's flowing through them. Let's go to John, and we've got Lawyer Joe here in the studio with us. It's going to be interesting. But go ahead, John, your assessment.
Yeah, so again, I mirror what Jason said. I mean, after he realized that the wanted subject was not in there, stops over. Now, I have to ask, what didn't the camera pick up? What did he see? Because obviously his eyes are above the camera, but I would not have allowed her to move around like that, the way she was. I mean, she could have got the drop on him way before that, and I cringed at that one. So, yeah, I hate to say this, but I'm gonna use the word sloppy.
All the way around. No. I have no issues with that. I don't think anybody else in here does either. Maybe Joe does. Lawyer Joe. Would you defend the police officer, Joe, or are you try to find the family of the driver.
Okay, I'm finally in the studio thing. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Okay.
Very well.
Part of the video didn't play for me, so I don't know if my internet's being weird again. I didn't see like the very end. I heard it about the cop getting shot, but I was trying to figure out what, like, he let her get a cigarette out of the car and she's smoking, and then I wasn't sure what he was doing, and then all of a sudden he's like, put your hands behind your back. What happened in between that like I missed on the video?
You know what? Kingdom, kick that video up again. It's not a very long video. I'll go back to that. The point where he started to effect an arrest. Is that what you're asking?
I think so. It was, like I said, it kept stopping and starting, and then the audio was there. But
no, I get it. No. We do this a lot for defense attorneys. We'll go slow. Bring it back up, and I'll.
Well, I don't know that I have it handy right this second. It's going to take me a second, but I'll get it for you. Yeah.
What was your question on it, Lawyer Joe? What happened? Is just in general what happened?
Well, yeah, I was trying to figure out, because like I said, the audio and the video weren't together, and then the video stopped. But from what I had seen, like when he first tased her, I'm like, why was he tasing? Like, why was he tasing her? Had he already like affected the arrest? Because it wasn't lining up.
He attempted to effect the arrest. She sat down in the vehicle, and that's when he deployed the taser with probes at standoff. No effect. Then he stunned her, pushing the end of the taser into her skin, and that's when she produced a firearm, and that went off. Okay, here we go. Let me.
Yeah, and I don't want to make light of it, but isn't it a proven fact you're more likely to be shot by an overweight cop?
I don't know that to be true, but run this thing. I don't have control of it. I don't have control of it, Kingdom. So run it through to about the last minute.
No, hold on. Don't put me in handcuffs. I haven't done anything wrong.
Ma'am.
No, don't put me.
You're about to get tased. No. Get down. Get down on the ground. Down on the ground.
I didn't do nothing.
Step out. Ma'am,
no, Nico,
put the gun down. Put the gun down.
I'm doing something. Please go to your room. I don't know.
23 shots fired. Shots fired.
10-4, 13, keep outside code 3.
Okay, Lori Joe, did that you able to catch that?
Yeah, sorry if everybody heard my audio.
Yeah, kids, go to your room.
Sorry
it looked
about
like
that.
it looked like when he tasered the first time, she was reaching over in the front seat for the gun.
Well, that's what I was figuring, because I never saw the actual, like, is this part of the video right here where she pulled the gun?
No, he shot her right here. It looks like she's reaching for, like when he tased her the first time, it looks like she's reaching over for the gun. Like right now, she's reaching for the gun. And then when he put it down on her, she reached down for the gun. When he did that, she's reaching for the gun right now. Boom.
Step out.
Okay.
Ma'am, put the gun down. Put the gun down.
Okay.
Okay. The problem I have with it is that the whole he started off, he was on the wrong foot from the get-go. As soon as I agree with Jason, as soon as he saw that that person was not the one with the warrants, because I think they were talking about a male, and they're like, that wasn't the person with the warrants, he could have simply asked for her her identification and then said, okay, you're not the person I'm looking for, and let her go. But the fact that he took her bag and he was looking through it, and I still don't know, what did he find that he was placing her under arrest for?
A small bag of weed.
So he found a small bag.
We don't know, Lawyer Joe, to be honest with you. We're not sure if I'm sure it was probably the possession of marijuana, but that's what Jason and I have been saying, is that it's really unclear once he realizes that the registered owner of the vehicle who has a warrant is not the person that's driving that car. There has to be something else for that traffic stop to continue, or it's just fruits of a poisonous tree. It's all shit from downhill from there. But it could have been the odor of marijuana, depending on the state that he's in, whether that's probable cause. He could have seen the marijuana when she was pulling things out of her purse, None of that was articulated. We don't have any of the backstory on it.
Right. Okay. That's what I figured. But just the fact that, I mean, he was at that point, up until he like searched her bag, once he figured out she was not the person with the warrant, he was holding her unlawfully after. I don't know if you guys call it false detention, false imprisonment. But as soon as he figured she was not the person, she wasn't doing the reason he pulled her over, and he had no other reason, he had no right to look through her bag whatsoever. From that point on, I think everything's on him, and I'm suing him. Because from that point on,
can I interject real quick?
I wish you would, Jason. I wish you would. Thank you.
So there's a lot of details missing in this, and we're just watching a video. And sight, smell, actions, everything comes into play to develop probable cause. So I don't know what that officer saw or smelled or why he conducted the traffic stop in the manner that he did. I'm just watching a video. And if he stopped that vehicle because the registered owner had a warrant, walks up, and maybe he smelled an odor of marijuana. Well, now all of a sudden, your probable cause, your reasonable suspicion is now developing a probable cause because he has that odor. And then that develops into her furtive movements going in the car. And my senses went up when she was digging over there. Like, she's hiding something at this point. So,
but if you look at it from like a lawyer's point of view, I agree with you. Like, again, I have a degree in criminal justice. I went through the academy stuff with all the same people, same shit you guys did. And I get that part. What I don't understand is if he was going to, if as soon as he had probable cause and said, I'm going to search, like I wanted him to sit her on the side and close her door, sit her on the side, and either formally detain her or let her go. Because at that point,
100% agree. If that was my stop, I would have walked up. It's not the person. I have a smell of a narcotic or whatever. I would have sat her on the curb. I would have detained the car. I got a search warrant for the car and made it completely safe. There was just a completely better way to do it that is more legal.
I tell you what, let's get to some hands inside the space, guys.
I think that was my biggest problem was that, that his complete irresponsibility led it in a whole way it did not need to go. And it put him in a bad spot, and it was his fault that he put himself in a bad spot.
Totally agree.
Well, but I think you're assuming facts, not in evidence. Is that once again when he walked up and said, "What are you putting in?" I asked
for the evidence, and you don't have it. Mistrial.
Let me finish. My point is, we don't know that and Jason's correct. If I pulled it over because the tag was associated with a wanted or 99, a wanted person, and that wanted person is not there, and there's nothing else, that traffic stops over with "Have a nice day." But as I walk up in his situation, she's doing something with the bag. We can't see it. It's not coming across on the body camera. She could have picked up marijuana. He could have seen her pick up the marijuana and actually put it into the bag. Therefore, his going into the bag is all good to go. It just wasn't articulated. And just because it wasn't articulated doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Now, his tactics and the way he conducted his traffic stop absolutely had no control. And I'll ding him for that. But I can't really go as far as say you've got a lawsuit that he was completely bad. This is a dirty cop because of what we just watched from the video.
That's exactly what I said. I said, depending on what it was that gave him, in his mind, that gave him probable cause, like to go through her stuff, to arrest her, to tase her, as soon as he had that, if he had a legitimate reason for it, then he bungled the stop, but he wasn't 100% wrong. But the fact that we don't know what it is, and I can only assume it was either he didn't like her reaching around her purse. Maybe she was reaching for her driver's license. Maybe she was reaching for, you don't know. And that's not probable cause. Just because somebody's weird is not probable cause. But the fact that he's looking through her bag before he stated anything, I have an issue with that. If he already had the probable cause, why wasn't she sitting on the sidewalk handcuffed?
Okay, no, I get you. Let's go to some hands out of the out of our night court space, and let's see if they might trigger something else to talk about there, Joe.
All right, we got two hands up right now. We've got the spin and we've got range. So let's grab the spin and then we'll slide over to range.
So is this typical procedure if you're considered DUI? If he smelt something, then obviously this has gone to a DUI, driving under, intoxication. But still, that was like a wrong approach all the way around, or is that typical?
No, I would say no, that's not typical. And just the odor of marijuana may not lead you into a driving under the influence. It's most likely a possession charge, depending on the jurisdiction that you're in, because every jurisdiction is different depending on, especially state jurisdictions. Let me be more specific. State jurisdictions are different as what's lawful and what's unlawful, what can be probable cause and what can't be probable cause. I don't think you ever got to the point of trying to determine the intoxication, or if there was any intoxication level on the driver. As far as proper procedure, this guy didn't get, there was no medals pinned on his chest after this. I promise you. Most likely he probably lost his job, and he, in my opinion, probably should look for another profession. This is not the right one for him.
Wow.
But Jason, you can chime in on that as well.
And then FTF stated that she died shortly after this. She drove away the way that she did, shot, and then died. She looked like she was ripping out of there.
Yeah, that's correct.
Not uncommon. Not uncommon at all.
Whoa, I didn't think you could drive like that. I mean,
once that adrenaline is pumping, you don't feel a lot of stuff until your adrenaline starts to come back down. Like, she was probably literally high on adrenaline for a few minutes. And then once it started to come back down and she realized what was going on in her body, it was probably too late.
Well, in the movies, if you're the hero, you can drive with multiple bullet gunshot wounds. But if you're the villain, you die with the first one. But let's go to Jason.
I just want to, and maybe this is just in my state, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't need probable cause to stop a vehicle as a police officer. You need reasonable suspicion. And basically, from the law enforcement perspective, you walk up to a vehicle, you go to a call or whatever call you're responding to. It's breadcrumb after breadcrumb after breadcrumb, and these breadcrumbs add up to probable cause. So when I watched this video, he stopped him based upon reasonable suspicion that the driver may or may not have a warrant. So he walks up to the car, and this is where I need more information to make an accurate assessment of why he did what he did. But in his mind, I think there's breadcrumb, and okay, now I have probable cause. I don't know what he found, but he made the determination that he has probable cause to make an arrest. I think that's a misconception in society, that probable cause because you didn't signal your turn lane is a little bit different than probable cause to be committed for murder. So, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, that's how it is up here, but
no, in Ohio, it's you need reasonable suspicion to do any stop, whether it's even like a Terry stop pat down. You have to have at least the most modicum of reasonable suspicion. Now, to go beyond that, to actually affect a detention of any kind, a search, you have cause. In Ohio, you don't need a warrant because you can make, I don't know, I'm guessing this is the way everywhere. You can do a complete search based on an arrest-based search. If you have a legitimate arrest, you could do a search without a warrant. It's considered part of the arrest.
Are you speaking of incident to arrest?
Yes. Sorry, my brain is kind of slow right now.
There's some real limitations, especially since the Gantt decision in the OATs on incident to arrest. But let me go back to Jason. You're right. Reasonable suspicion is what you need for a traffic stop, but you got to have probable cause if you're going to dig into the lady's purse. That was my point on the probable cause, is that if he saw it, he didn't articulate it, and we are unaware of the probable cause. If you're just a layman looking at it, it looks like he pulls her over. Oh, the guy I'm not looking for is here. Grab me. Let me look in that purse, and I think that is unlawful. But there's many things this officer did, in my opinion, that were most likely a violation of his departmental policies, even his first contact on the traffic stop. I mean, there's something called a 7-point traffic stop. that every officer really should employ, because it kind of gets everything out of the way with the first 7 bullet comments out of your mouth, the 7 points that you're going to inform the citizen of why their stop is. But let me get to some hands, because guys, I don't want to neglect our folks in the night court space. They're listening to us. We're going back and forth. So
the range minded.
Forgive me if I'm cutting you guys off as my panelists. I don't mean to, but I want to get to these guys in the space. They've got their hands up, and they could have a point of view to give us something to go around about. Go ahead, range mod.
Joe, another solid space, man. This is great. So the closest I ever came to becoming a police officer, I was actually hired by the sheriff's office. I passed PT right before post. Things changed my life. I had to decline the offer. There's some regret there, but I think it was the right choice at the time, looking back now. Looking at this video, this cop was way over his head. I don't know if he had a hero complex or what he thought he was doing. If it was a felony, if he was worried there was a guy with a warrant in there, I assume, in my perspective as a civilian, I would assume you'd want to get some backup there fairly quickly. But really, my core question is, and Kingdom kind of fell on this already, is why aren't these officers doing some serious PT standards? I don't mean to be offensive, but that cop was way too overweight to be trying to manhandle anybody. And why are they not learning some jujitsu or some wrist lock, something more hand-to-hand type stuff to defeat some intolerable people? That's really my question, is what do you know if your departments are doing anything different? I guess that was kind of a convoluted question, I know, but why are not more departments doing more jujitsu or hand-to-hand type stuff to help handle situations?
Well, you guys have heard me say this point. I'm going to let you dive in on this, Jason. I just want to say this one part that agencies are siloed. They're by jurisdiction. One jurisdiction doesn't do what the other jurisdiction does. The agency that I worked in had no physical standard for patrolmen, but if you wanted to be on the SRT team or if you wanted to do anything else besides regular patrol, then there was a physical standard, and has something to do with the way the state laws are in Texas. So it's not law enforcement wide. If you're going to judge the physical fitness of that officer and even the training of that officer, then you have to judge that jurisdiction, not even its neighboring jurisdictions, because they are completely different from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, especially when it comes to physical standards and requirements of training. And I'm going to let Jason rip that up with some ribbons, because I know he's got a real sharp knife for it.
Well, he called me out, Lanu.
No, he wasn't. When he said fat, he wasn't talking about you, Kingdom. He was talking about the officer.
No, he said Kingdom already fell on the grenade, talking about the officer was overweight. And I was joking when I said you're more likely to be shot by an overweight cop. But the truth is, you might be in foot pursuit, and this guy is he's just ran too many times to the donut shop or whatever. You should have some kind of physically fit stature about you to be a police officer, in my opinion, just in case, some situation where someone's running from you, maybe. That was just my thought, but it was more of a joke that people say more than I thought it was a reality that you have to be physically fit to be a police officer.
My personal opinion is that you need to have a level of physical fitness. It's a physical job, and the problem is you don't know when it's going to be physical. It'll be physical real fast. But let's go to the guy who really knows, the guy who's actually a practicing law enforcement officer and probably knows some real standards that are going on actually here today. Tell us about it, Jason.
That is a unspoken question that bothers me, because when I started, it wasn't this way. I think we've become a little bit sensitive to this topic and not wanting to get sued because you're told something that would help you in your job. And I'll just leave it at that. What I can tell you in our department, we train jujitsu every 2 months. We have a black belt in jiu-jitsu on our department that trains us, and our whole department is very, very fluid in everything you just said, whoever was speaking, and I hope other departments are going the same direction. But yeah, 100% agree. It builds confidence. It puts you in a position where you can defend yourself, and you're not jumping to lethal force automatically. I think it's very important that anybody who wears a badge has the mindset and confidence to handle themselves without a gun.
Very well said. Hey, Joe, I'm showing you're requesting a mic inside the space, but you don't have to do that. Everyone can hear you where we're at now, right?
No, I know for whatever reason, I just shut off X completely because it just kept, I was listening and then it just kept flashing the mic thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I just got out of the space altogether. So I didn't do that anymore. Sorry about that.
No worries. I was just letting you know that you're in a high chair that you don't need to worry about the spaces there. It works real well the way we're doing it. Let's go to Veteran. I saw his hand up. You got a comment or a question, Veteran?
More just a comment. I agree with Jason. Just like in the military, police officers, we need to be fit. It just the level of confidence, the way you can just handle situations. Not saying this officer did anything that maybe surrounded his weight, but yeah, he could have handled it a lot better if he was more physically fit. I'm not a police officer, but everything from the moment he pulled up and everything after that just seemed like it was just, he didn't know what he was doing. But maybe just that bit of confidence that he knows, hey, I can handle situations, could have made that go a whole lot different. Just a whole different direction. So that's all, just that comment.
Thanks, Veteran. Hey, I want to do a little programming note. This is new for us tonight. We're doing a simulcast on both the live stream video on my X timeline, and now we also have the Night Court with Joe Lanou, our normal show in X Spaces. For anybody that's watching the video, if you want to join the X space, if you'll find my icon, it should be purple. Click it and go ahead and join the space with us. You can ask questions just like everyone else is doing as well. So feel free to jump in and join the space, join the conversation, join the discussion. All you've got to do is come and request a mic, put your hand up, and we'll listen to your point, answer your question if we can. But it's a discussion for every one of us. It's kind of the way we do things here at Night Court. But Kingdom, I think we need to.
You got one more video, and there's over 420 people, and it's still rising. It's 427 right at this moment. There's one more by the Kern Police Department that you had me load. Do you want to watch that one or no?
I tell you what, I want to hold that, and let's play that after the top of the hour. We got 4 minutes. I wouldn't mind going back through some of these discussions that we've had with Lawyer Joe, because I think she wants to do some arguing on our unfit police officer that she assumes facts are not in evidence on his probable cause. But Lawyer Joe, did you see the video prior to that, the traffic stop in Frisco, Texas?
Yeah, the one with the family.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And what was your take on that?
I think it was a bit overzealous, but I mean, no one's getting sued over that. I have a hard time with those like that because, I mean, it was all the result of a mistake of the officer because somebody typed something wrong. No, I understand it seems minor, but you're affecting someone's life by your typo. So get your shit together. But in the whole, like putting the mom in cuffs, that kind of, her kids are going to be really, that's going to mess her kids up, especially since they're Black kids. I'm guessing it's going to be very difficult. So rather than the officer double checking, like Jason said, double and triple check just to make sure you're not messing with anybody, then it was overboard. But I mean, I understand the logistics of it. I understand the purpose of it. But I think she got a little overzealous, and it might have been, lack of experience, I have no idea. But the fact that she also had to wait for backup before she was doing it, I was just like, lady, isn't dispatch hiring? Because it was
well. Let me ask you this: you talked about it was a mistake and it's a typo. It seems like police officers, we really like to go back and find any little mistake that they make. That others in other professions or vocations will make these same typos or other types of mistakes. They just don't really have the same weight to them a lot of times. But Jason, what do you think about that? Officers being held to such a standard that a typo would bring such a
I'm held to the same standard. I mean, if I put the wrong thing in and I submit it to a court, I can lose an entire case and can get thrown out. But Jason's the one who said, before he would do something like that, he he would like double check and triple check just to make sure that he had all his ducks in a row before he made a decision like that. So I was just saying, yes, you're held to a higher standard. You have more protection than most people, and you should be held to a higher standard. You're dealing with, I like what you say about you're not dealing with people on the best day. It's the same thing like with lawyers. We're not dealing with people on the best days of their lives. They're not coming like, hey, I just love lawyers. You're there
Unless you're a
because,
divorce lawyer, sometimes that is the best day of your life.
yes, that could be, but you couldn't pay me enough to do family law. But it's one of those, yeah, you should be held to a higher standard. You serve the public for good and bad. You serve the public. So yeah, before you start messing with somebody's life, you should make sure you type in AZ or AR instead of AZ.
And I think that what you just said, Joe, I agree with. I've lived in a glass house for 30 years, 29 years. Yes, we should be held to a higher standard because we took an oath of office to protect the Constitution and to keep people safe. I completely, that's been my life. But what I can say is the whole law enforcement as a whole, I was actually thinking about this other day. If you go back to a football season and whatever favorite team you have, the quarterback just lays an egg. The next day, it's Monday morning quarterbacking. Law enforcement has the same thing. The difference is, like the videos we watched, I just made this comment before, I need more information before I can make a determination on my actual response. So it's a very, being in law enforcement, you are under a microscope with people that don't have the ability to be there when you were there. So it's a very hard job that you're going to be questioned and second guessed, and it's not easy. And even the videos I watched, I need more info, and that's my mindset. I need to know what this guy's smelling or whatever. It's not easy. We live in a glass house, and I don't give the benefit of the doubt to bad cops at all. They should be removed from it. But to make a decision in the split second, like the guy who shot the guy through the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a lot of shit thrown at you.
I 100% agree. 100%. I'm just saying that somebody like the lady with the felony car stop, she could have made everybody's lives easier by just checking. Like all the cops I know, most of them are like my age. They're a little older, have more experience. And, unlike the ones who I had to deal with who were young and like physically assaulted me, older guys are like, I had to run that through twice because something just didn't make sense. And they're like, if that woman would have taken an extra 15 seconds, let me type this in one more time, make sure, okay, oh, wait, that's wrong. Then, she could have saved everybody trouble and time. Those 7 cars that showed up, the whole family, but she just got overzealous rather than double. You were sitting there waiting for backup. Check again. Make sure you did the right thing.
Joe, I'm in agreement with you on that one.
Okay, I was just making sure. I'm not disagreeing with you about how difficult it is and how, but that one, it was just, Joe had asked me about that specifically. And I'm like, dude, just check your spelling and make sure and don't ruin people's lives over nothing.
I did. My point was by asking you that, Lawyer Joe, is that people do seem to be very critical over some of the minor mistakes that police officers can make, that we can all make them. Now, are they amplified when it's a police officer? You shut down a highway, you pull people out at gunpoint. You damn right it is. It's much more magnified. And you folks in spaces before, you've heard me say that an officer that's been on duty for 10 years is an officer you can trust. It's that first 5 years. If you make it through the first 5 years, you might have what it takes to be a police officer, because a lot of the stuff, honestly, you just can't teach. That officer that did the last traffic stop at the Dollar General, there's not enough training, not enough ninjutsu or laps around the track, in my opinion, it's ever going to make that officer have enough snap to be a real good officer. To make it in the field, as long as, say, Jason has made it, it's tried and true. He's tested every day. He's been through the trials, and he's come out with thumbs up. So he's somebody that you can trust, that knows what's going on in law enforcement. I think there's a lot of folks that believe, that don't have any association with law enforcement, is that there's this we back the blue. We're going to take care of folks or officers that don't cut the mustard. when it's honestly, it's exactly the opposite. But let me get back to the space.
Not true. We know that in some departments it is, in other departments it's not.
Okay.
There are those that keep the other ones covered.
Hey, Lanu, John C. has some interesting things to say about this topic, I think.
I want to get to John C. and I want to get to Bruce Wayne. And I didn't mean to cut you off, Laurie Joe. We're going to come back to that for sure. Let's go ahead, John.
Well, I had to change mics, so can you hear me?
It's loud and clear, brother.
Loud and clear.
Okay. So I mean, I see also some complacency with this, this last guy, and I don't know where the town is or where it happened at, but it may be a small town, and you don't have that many stops, and I think I've seen sometimes deputies and police officers get complacent, and we all know what complacency will get you. As far as the PT part, I've actually seen a deputy lose his life because he was not physically fit trying to do a foot pursuit, and I'm not being funny. He died of a massive heart attack in the middle of a foot pursuit. So, and I think when people look at other officers and they see somebody like overweight, they will either sometimes try to take advantage of that, and then in this case, I mean, I think it all played a part, but I don't know. Just I've always tried to not get complacent when I was in, and I think that's helped a lot.
Bruce Wayne.
Hey, thanks. I wanted to ask Jason and Joe too, but in regards to Monday night quarterbacking, or do you think body cams have made that phenomena worse or better?
I can comment on that. I think 99% of the complaints that I receive from citizens about the way they were treated are debunked pretty quickly when you watch the body cam.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that either. It tells more of a true story versus what complaints can be done or be said in a complaint. All right, folks, we are in our last hour. Sorry, I'm doing some back-end work here, getting some invites and stuff sent out. But we're in our last hour. If everyone could repost the space, might put in there something about it simulcasted, and we've got video. Let's try to get the space moving again. Maybe some folks in here for this last hour. I think this has proven to be a success. If I can talk my panelists into returning, I think this is something we want to do at least once a week. And I'm okay with doing, there's plenty of police videos out there to go over, but we want to get into our last video. This is out of Kern County Sheriff's Office in California. And it's a little bit of a long one. I'm going to let it go, but I want you to pay attention to what, there's a victim in here. I want you to listen to what the victim's saying. Put yourself in the officer's shoes on taking in everything that the officers are taking in this situation and into the things that they're hearing as well. So go ahead and roll that for us, Kingdom, and thank you.
Hey, Mr. Hands! Get down on the ground! Get down on the ground! Get down on the ground! Put the knife down now! Put it down! Mr. Hands! Put it down now! He stabbed me! Get over here! Put it down on the ground now! Put it down now! Are you okay, Mommy? Should I be okay? One at gunpoint with a knife. Put it down! Put the knife down! Put the knife down! What's wrong with you? Is she bleeding? She's bleeding. You gotta put the knife down! Put the knife down! Please. Put it down! Put the knife down! Put it down now! Stage medic plate.
Put the knife down.
Put the knife down.
I've been stabbed with left hand. You
Put the knife down.
Don't let him go to the exit.
No.
Put the knife down. Drop it.
Put it down. Put it down. This doesn't need to happen, man. This doesn't need to happen. Just put it down.
Put the knife down.
Put the knife down. Put the knife down.
Shoot, bro.
Just put the knife down, man.
Shoot, bro.
Put the knife.
Put the knife down. Shoot, bro.
Put it down. Put it down. Do not take another step. Put it down.
Shoot, bro.
Put it down.
Don't stand up. Shoot, bro.
Put it down. It's not needed. We don't need to do this. Just put the knife down, dude. We can get through this. Just put it down. Just put it down.
Just drop it, man. Just drop it.
Just put it down now. We could get through this, man. Stay down, ma'am. Stay down. Stay down. Ma'am, stay down on the ground.
Drop the knife.
Put the knife down.
Put the knife down, man.
Shoot it, man. Do not take another step. Put the knife down. We can make it through this. Don't do this.
Shoot it, bro.
Put the knife down.
Shoot it.
Do not take another step.
Just put the knife down. We can talk about this. Just put it down.
Put it down. We got to get medical aid to this lady. Put the knife down, okay?
Just pull the trigger, bro.
No, we can't do that. It's not worth it.
Why not?
It's not, man. We could get through this. We could get through this, man. Don't do this.
Pull it, bro.
No, it's not worth it.
Pull it.
Put it down. It doesn't need to go this route, man.
Pull it.
It doesn't need to happen this way, man. There's no need for it. We could get through this. Come on, man. Put the knife down.
I have 3 kids in the house.
You're trying to help.
Put it down.
Put down the knife.
Just put it down, man. We could do this. Don't do this. Come on. You got kids, right? You got kids? Do you have a kid? Say yes or no, man. Watch that. Watch that exit. All right. Don't do this to your kids, man. Don't do this. We can get through this. Just don't take another step, man. Okay? Look.
Just do it. I'm already in too deep, already.
No, it's okay.
Talk about this, man.
We're going to get through this.
Calm down, man.
We're going to get through this. It's okay.
I'm just so mad at myself, and it doesn't help it.
It's okay. Put the knife down for your kids. Do this for your kids, please. Okay? We could get through this. No.
We don't want it,
we
man.
can get through
Put
this.
it down. You got kids, right?
We can get through this.
Let's go put it down for your kids, man.
For your kids. For your kids.
I'm sorry. You're not sorry for nothing, man. Put it down.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, home. Put it down. I'm sorry, home. What's your name?
It's for your kids.
Come on, man. Dude. This anger right now, man.
Put the knife down.
This anger right now.
We don't need to do this. We don't need to do this. We don't.
Already in too deep, bro?
No, you're not in too deep. We can get through this. Don't do this to your kids. Do not do this to your kids. They don't need to see this. They don't need to do this, okay? Put it down.
Come on, man.
Put it down. Put the knife down now.
Do it. Come on, man. We don't want to do anything.
We don't want to do this.
Hit it, bro. Just hit it.
No.
Put it down, man. Come on.
Put it down.
Drop it, man. Drop the knife. It's hard, man. Put the knife down.
Do not take another step.
A different way. You can do this a different way. Just hit it, man. Drop the knife.
I'm getting
Drop
down.
it.
Get down, ma'am. Get down, lady.
Drop the knife.
Get down. Don't do this, dude. Don't do this to me.
Drop the knife.
Some cell phone plans won't give you enough. More is music to the ears. Get more of a good.
Don't do this to me.
Drop the knife, man.
Don't do this.
Ma'am, get inside that door, please.
Get inside. Get out the door, man. Get outside.
Drop it, man.
No contact. All in America's largest.
I can't go any further.
Gomez was.
Yes, he was. He was declared deceased at the scene. Jason, I'm going to go to you, and I see some CIT in this. I want you to tell us what you saw in there and what the officers did, kind of in the CIT. Well, just give me your assessment.
I see 3 lethal force options for those 3 cops. I think if you had a less lethal in there, whether it be pepper ball or taser, I'm going to go back to the first thing. When you have a woman bleeding on the floor with a guy standing over with a knife, and then you look at the 22-foot rule, this was a suicide by cop from the get-go, and they should have had less lethal involved in that scenario, in my opinion. I think a pepper ball would have ended it, or a taser would have ended it pretty goddamn quick, but 100%, this was a suicide by cop.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that was one of the things that I noticed, that if I was the first responding officer and a man standing over a woman that he's already stabbed in the neck, standing over her, I might have gone kinetic a little faster. But no, I agree with you on that. I think these officers did a pretty decent job. But FT, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think this is a suicide by cop. And kind of, what was said earlier, the bleeding out. Like, I think that in my head, I'm like, why are they hesitating? Because it seems like it's obvious that suicide by cop, but the more important is the person who's not trying to die. But that's just my, I guess, rough calculus on that. But he's basically begging to get shot. And they were giving him a lot of grace to back down, and it seemed like they were getting somewhere, like a little bit of progress, but then he doubled down. Very, very sad, very tragic.
Do y'all know the 22-foot rule with edged weapons? And Joe, maybe you can explain this better than me, but do you know the 22-foot rule, Joe?
I do know the 22-foot rule, and we've got a hand up, range master or range-minded. Excuse me, range-minded. Range-minded, do you want to make a comment on the 22-foot rule?
Yeah, you're mentioning the Tooler drill, right? I am a bit of a student of the knife, so I do understand how quickly you can get to somebody before they can clear leather or pull a trigger. It is very, very real. And people seem to misunderstand it. Oh, he only had a knife. Why did you have to kill the guy? Well, I guarantee that if a guy had enough determination, he could totally take out one of those cops. In fact, the one on the far left, he was way too close. Like, I was getting the willies just seeing how close he was getting to that officer on the left. He could have easily caused serious damage or taken that cop's life before they would have ended him.
Yeah, and that's my point. When I first started watching this, you have a victim on the floor that they see visible bullet coming out. So you have somebody potentially dying, and you have this guy with a knife standing over her. There's a time for CIT, and there's a time for not. And in this case, it's not about talking anymore because you have a victim there.
And I was really watching his body language, right? You look for grooming or signals of, or tells, whatever you want to call them, of when he's going to make his move. And man, that is a very uncomfortable situation for those officers.
Well, when he made the sign of the cross and he said, "I've gone too far," that's a pretty big indicator that Yep, he's ready.
He's committed.
Yep.
But I think the officers did a good job with. Actually, let's don't get too far into this. I want to get John's assessment, and I want Lawyer Joe's assessment, and then we can kind of round robin it back and start picking it apart. But John, what was your overall assessment of that?
So with him being right on top of her, holding a knife, you're within what, a foot or two. I have to be honest, I'd have dropped him right then. But they did what they did. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but when they get him out of the bathroom, I couldn't tell how bad she was bleeding. Then you're in a situation where you've got to kind of assess the patient, or the victim rather, see how bad she's bleeding, to try to get her medical attention, possibly save her life. But then they kind of literally backed themselves in a corner, and then they got in to a clear shoot and then to a CIT. So I'm on board with Jason. I think or you too, Joe. I would have I'd have ended things a lot quicker when he was basically standing on top of her.
So if the first arriving officer, excuse me, had walked in and split his grape while he stood in the bathroom over her with a knife, then going to a grand jury, if any of us were sitting on the grand jury, we would have no billed, or we would have found no charges on that. We would have considered that a good shoot. That's kind of a question out there for everyone.
Oh yeah, I say yeah.
Even I would have. I'd say. They're once they get him out of the bathroom, I think things could have been a little different. But he was standing over top of her. We couldn't tell how bad she was bleeding, but he had the knife and he refused to drop it. He didn't give a shit about his life or hers. And there were kids in that house. This is one I have to agree. You hear there are 3 kids in the house and you got a bleeding woman. That guy's not long for this world.
Okay. I can tell you the cops are policing in fear. And I think we're seeing right now that the hesitation to take an action, cops are scared because of what's happened the last few years. And I'm not going into, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I've seen it. Cops are scared to police.
I have as well. Until our administration changed, I was glad I was out under the previous administration, but I would be more than happy to go back under the current one, all because of that one simple thing right there, Jason. Administration and knowing that you're backed.
Okay. I want to go to Lucian. He's in our space and has a question, or had his hand up, or a comment. Go ahead, Lucian.
Yeah, first of all, sorry about the hand up thing there. I was trying to get it to go down, and for some reason it kept cycling on me. So I looked a little.
Well, you're on the spot now. I need a comment. Give us some thoughtfulness.
All right. Yeah. So what I'm looking at is from the perspective of someone who's not in law enforcement, who has a decent experience with negotiation. So what I saw there was 3 individual officers. I didn't know who was in charge in that moment, but I saw at least 2 weapons drawn. And is it safe to assume that that at least one of those officers had a taser or some other non-lethal application? The reason I ask that is in a command situation like that, you typically want to have someone who will take the lead, someone else who knows, their role is to fill in the blanks in between no one being there and a single officer who doesn't have an option other than lethal force. You had multiple officers. So was there an option there to maybe intervene a little faster with less lethal?
Jason, I'm going to throw that back to you.
So watching the video, I think when the cops first walked in from the video, you have a guy with a knife over a bleeding victim. Lethal force is justified. When the guy started to walk out, now I think you have an opportunity for less lethal. So, and that's why when I brought it up the first time, I see 3 Glocks. I see no pepper ball. I see no taser. You have lethal force with no other option. So if that was my scene, I would have brought, when I was working narcotics, we stacked our stack. By stack, I mean a bunch of undercover narcotics agents to hit a warrant. It was lethal, lethal, less lethal, lethal, less lethal. We had those options. So that was the one thing I noticed. I think when they first came in, if that was me, if I see a guy standing over a bleeding victim with a knife and I'm 5 feet away, lethal is completely justified. When he walked out, lethal still justified, but you have an opportunity for less lethal. So I hope that helps.
But I think you're 20. let me make a comment, Lucian. I'll let you comment to both of us. But I think your knife or your 22-foot rule also comes into play with a taser. It could be effective. It may not be effective. And look how close he was to the victim up until the very end when she went down the hallway and exited the apartment. She's also very close. So, yes, I kind of get the idea. And Lucian, you're right. There are departments that their policy is in a stack like that or a standoff like that somebody's going to flip to non-lethal. So that has as an option with the other two lethal options in the other two officers' hands in this situation. So I see what you're saying, but I don't fault them for not pulling the taser, if that makes any sense. They were well within their authority to use lethal force for defense of a third person and also the defense of each officer in the room. But go ahead, Lucian, make a response to that.
Yeah, I guess it's not necessarily a question for me about when they're authorized in this particular scene. I do consider tempo, though, and the fact that they didn't fire immediately and they backed off and gave the guy space implies that they sensed or they had some other thought for how they were going to unfold the scene. And I was kind of hoping that at some point the officer on the far left would back down the hall, but I didn't see any of that. I saw everybody stand their ground, and I didn't see any other. I mean, they did a great job trying to negotiate down, do crisis intervention, but it's clear that none of those three officers had much or was able to draw on any negotiating experience at that point. And the only reason I bring that up is because of that tempo. They had the immediate opportunity to use lethal force right away. They chose not to, and they backed off, meaning they were looking for other options. And so it's a confusing scene for me as a non-officer, and as I'm not a legal authority either. So it's just confusing to me to understand what options the officers would normally carry with them. I do have negotiating background, including in high stress, but I didn't see those tools being used. I saw them hoping that they could get past things with just, it's all going to be okay. And so it's weird. I would not have an opinion on this as to whether it's justified or not, just because I don't know the policies and I don't know what other options they had in the moment.
Hey, Joe, I wanted to add something. I was just thinking, I thought the officers kind of flagged themselves or each other. The way that they were positioned, it seems like there could have been some crossfire. Am I wrong in that, or?
I think it was close, but I think the video was misleading. I think they were more of a diamond formation to where their target was at the bottom tip of the diamond, so to speak. It was close proximity, but I'm not upset at the tactics that I saw. What do you think, Jason?
No, I think if I was there, a guy standing over a bleeding victim with a knife, it's done quickly in my mind. I would not hesitate. If he's not listening to the first command I give, I got to keep her safe.
Yeah, no, Jason, there wouldn't have been three officers in there at the point the first round flew. He didn't handle that first off. And I don't disagree with him. I think if I had responded to that situation the way I see it in the video, I think I would have gone kinetic probably before he'd come out of that bathroom. But yes, FT, it's definitely not the best situation for officers to be in, but officers are put in those type of situations all the time, and they're pretty good at keeping it tactical. But
yeah, Lanu, I will tell you, I don't mean to mix up the conversation, but a little milestone has been reached. We have over 500 active viewers on this live feed. So for the first time, that's a pretty good start, I would say.
You know what? I think this is working out well. We're going to have an after-action review after this to see what we might be able to do better and keeping everything stitched together, but I'm super happy with this. But actually, I want to go back to the video. Did anybody notice what the victim was saying? Now, and I know Jason has been in this situation before because he's been a police officer long enough. And if you've been a police officer long enough, you would have experienced this where you have an aggressor with a knife who's even hurt a victim, and the victim, typically a wife or a girlfriend, who's begging for their life. Don't hurt him. Don't do this. Don't hurt him. But what was this victim saying? Did anybody notice back?
I heard her kept saying,
other than the fact that she's like, I've got 3 kids, I've got 3 kids. She was like, what is the problem? What is wrong with you? Drop the knife. Something to that effect. It was kind of muffled, but it sounded, she was kind of berating him.
She was talking to the officers. She said, he stabbed me in the neck. I'm going down. What are you waiting for? Shoot him. What are you waiting for?
Oh, I thought she was talking to him, like, drop the knife. What are you waiting for? Oh, even better.
No, it's like she had life insurance on this dude. The police officers didn't shoot him fast enough. She was down for him getting aired out.
Well, I mean, if I'd been stabbed in the neck too, obviously she was able to get up and like run away. So it wasn't life threatening immediately. But if I'd been stabbed in the neck and they were standing there, I'd be like,
no.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Okay, so
another funny part about that is when she said, I'm going down, it's like when people in those type of situations and law enforcement's around, they start talking tactic terms like, I'm down. Go ahead, Jason.
So take that. If I heard that and I'm going down, to me, that means like, okay, she's critically injured and there's 3 kids in there. And if you go to the CIT process of this, CIT is not a 15-minute conversation. It's an hour and a half. And there's 3 kids in there. If you don't take this guy out now, that woman's going to die. We might have a barricaded suspect with hostages, his children. And, you got to take the totality of everything that's going on right now. Is like, this is done right now. This is too dangerous. We're done.
Yeah, the totality of the circumstances right there is where even that's one where I'm always like, I would absolutely, as a prosecutor, defend a cop on that, because there were children in there. And that's one of the first things I thought is I'm like, as soon as she said, I have 3 kids. I mean, I'm a mom. I'm like, that's a hostage situation waiting to happen. So, and the guy made his choice. So I mean, I can't blame the officers. They tried. They probably tried more than they needed to. But the kids thing, I'm out. He's done.
It's kind of cool you're agreeing with me.
Don't expect it to happen often.
Jason, in the face of evidence, she has no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to disagree when the guy is saying, kill me.
But we all know that, like, I trained and I have a certificate in criminal law because I was planning on being a prosecutor. And I've actually looked at some local prosecutor jobs because they're looking for special docket prosecutors. Don't start your shit with me, Joe.
I've started and it's not done yet. So hang on. You're a panelist now.
A certificate doesn't really matter much to me. I'll take years of experience.
No, what I'm saying is that I have a law degree, but in my law school, you could do concentrations, and I have a concentration.
I was just joking with you.
You all were agreeing until a few seconds ago.
Your voice is so deep and so authoritative. I'm just like,
that's called cop humor.
I just keep hearing a
Fake news
in the back, like ready to yell at me.
I'm actually really nice. I can't help my voice.
I had a comment. I've just lost it. But yeah, that was an interesting video. And believe it or not, folks, I didn't pick out the videos for tonight for the content to tell a story. I wanted videos that were clear enough that you could kind of see what was going on. I did a very basic search, body worn camera, police use of force on YouTube. And the ones that didn't have, somebody else's commentary in it, I skipped those. I went to ones that were more raw footage. FT French did suggest 2 of these videos, and I did add them in there because they were good videos. That was the Frisco stop and the Dickinson, Texas pedestrian versus vehicle incident. But it also kind of shows, and I was noticing going through the videos, is that officers, and I won't say all officers, but a vast majority of officers involved in these situations, and I'll use this last video as an example of that, they're not quick on the trigger. It's like they don't want to take someone else's life. And it seems like if you listen to mainstream media and folks that are protesting in the streets, they act like police officers are rabid dogs. And it's like if they could put another one down, they put a notch in their belt. I didn't see law enforcement that way when I was in it. I'd like to get Jason's view on that and John's view on that too, because both these folks, Jason's still working in law enforcement currently today, sees them every day. and everyone, and John also worked in law enforcement. So we worked around other officers. We cut up, we joked with them, we BS'd with them. We kind of get to know them on a personal level. And I never saw anyone that I worked with, and I worked with a lot of different officers in the task force from a lot of different jurisdictions and that had different policies, so to speak. I never saw anybody that I thought was they want to go out and kill someone, or they want to use deadly force. I think if I had worked around someone like that, I would have made it, especially once I've reached a position of leadership, I would have made it my job to make sure they weren't carrying a gun. But Jason, what's your opinion on that? I know you hear it in the news. I know you hear folks hear it on Spaces when people find out that you're law enforcement. Do you feel like that's a common trend or a common misconception about law enforcement officers, that they hit the streets looking to gun somebody down for the day?
I can't speak for what their opinions are. I can just tell you that I have never met a cop that shows up for briefing and says, "Let's go kill people." It's not true.
He didn't show up to 2 briefings saying that.
No, no, I'm just, it's not true. I mean,
you also need to talk to some people who've been victims of police brutality, though, to know that what you see and what they do once they get out there is not the same thing.
But I'll tell you, Joe, there are bad cops. I'm not denying that. I just can relate to my career of almost 30 years. I've never seen it. And I'm not saying there's not bad cops. There are, and they should be dealt with and fired. I have the utmost respect for law enforcement and what they do, and anybody who brings us down, get the hell out. You don't deserve to be.
I wish you and Joe were like kind of everywhere, because until I was assaulted, I was like I'm going to be a prosecutor. I'd never had a bad interaction with a cop. Even when I got pulled up, I take that back. One time, one threatened to arrest me for disorderly conduct, but I was in the right. But anyway, anytime I've even been pulled over, even anytime I've been,
yeah, shocker.
Hey, it had to do with my child though, so don't start. But anytime I've had any encounters whatsoever, because my father is a well-known criminal in the area I live, all the cops know him and hate him, and so they were always afraid I was him. But I'm the exact opposite. Never had a problem with the cop ever. I've told people the story about the cop I had to call to come pick up the marijuana in the new house I bought. Like, those are the kind of relationships I had. You know, he came in, I gave him a glass of lemonade, we laughed for a while, that kind of stuff, until I was assaulted. But the guys who did it were all younger, and one of the guys I beat up in high school. But I never had a problem, so I never even looked for it. But now that I look a little more closely, I do see the type of people who get into that role, and unfortunately they aren't cleaned out quickly enough. And I think that becomes a problem, because then the older guys are like, nah, fuck this, we're not doing this anymore, and they leave. And then you've got the shitbags who are left. And I think that's kind of a problem. That's where I'm going. I like cops for the most part.
Of course you do.
I'll add to that. I think the biggest problem, I guess the most substantiated complaint that I think we all can get behind is accountability. I really hope this series continues, because I will definitely be suggesting videos where we see lack of that accountability. And a lot of times it just goes unnoticed, or at least there's a delayed justice for the victims. So my biggest problem with policing currently is the lack of general accountability. When we identify that, hey, an officer is doing something bad, is there a cover up to do that? Who's involved? And there are probably, the vast majority of the cases are good. But there are a couple that are very bad, and you can go on YouTube and watch for hours of content of police not being held accountable.
I'm just going to go back to what I said originally. If everybody just be a person, the cops, the civilians, we all just want to live our lives and just be respectful and just be a person. And that's the problem, is that I think cops have been labeled, especially the last few years, as kind of the devil, and we just want to screw people. That truly isn't true on a blanket form. I just, if you get pulled over and you were doing 65 and a 45, if I stopped you And I walked up to that car and I said, I stopped you. And the guy said, I was fucking flying. I'm not giving you a ticket because you're honest. I'd laugh at you and go, dude, thanks for being honest. And I go back, it's not a big deal, but we're all people and we put uniforms on people. At the end of the day, we all go to bed and we're just a human being. And I think that's what's missing.
That I have to tell you, that is 100% what I did the last time I got pulled over with the cop that got weird about me reaching for, like, telling him. Yeah, he's like, I pulled you over. I'm like, I'm guessing I was speeding. I'm not familiar with the area. And he's like, what's a 35? What much were you doing? I'm like, probably around 50. He's like, at 51. I'm like, well, that's 100% on me. And he's like, where are you from? I explained to him, and he's like, all right, we are obviously unfamiliar. He's like, slow down. Now, every time I drive through that area, I set my cruise at 35 because that cop was a decent dude. Just want everybody to know that. So I don't understand being rude.
That's a big difference between pulling a gun on a cop at a
well,
traffic stop.
Yeah. You think
The traffic stop, but traffic stops should be just easy. I drove to work today. I went 10 over down the road. I deserve 2,000 speeding tickets, and I'd take it if I get one. This has been a long time coming. I've been speeding a lot. Just give it to me.
That's what I usually do. If I've done it and I'm speeding, I'm like, shit, I paid the ticket. I'm like, but I've been pulled over and I wasn't actually speeding. But anyway, and I fought that and won. But I do that and I'm just like, look, I don't think you want to fill out any more paperwork than I do, buddy. So let's just get this over with.
I tell you what, I want to get to, I want to go back to our space. We've kind of been going back and forth on our panel, which is great. I see we've got a hand up. And before I get to you, James, though, I want to pitch the mic to Bruce Wayne, Big Ron, and Grizz. If Grizz will take a mic. Guys, give us an assessment of what you've seen tonight and what you think about the format. Is it working? Is it something we want to continue? And what's the vibe in the space tonight?
Go ahead, Ron.
Go ahead, Ron. You got it.
Ron. Yeah, I think the format was great tonight. I definitely added some interaction to the space. It's not just conversations. It gave us something to look at, and then we were able to formulate opinions about it and discuss it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think all you guys that are in the studio did a really great job. Brought some really great information to it. I want to thank the guys that are in the main studio space with me tonight. It's been a little quiet on our end, but otherwise everything's been running really great. I think we've got some small kinks to work out with audio, but I think once that's done, we'll be really, really well.
Yeah, good to know. And I did notice at the top of the hour, it felt like we, I won't say neglected the space, but we didn't throw back to that quick enough. And we want to change that because I do want audience participation. I think that's what makes our spaces, it's a little extra spice that's in ours that you don't even see in other spaces. A lot of times you have a lecturer, he's going to lecture, or it's folks talking over each other. But Bruce, give me an assessment, and then Grizz, I want yours.
I think Ron summed it up really well. I really liked it. We definitely need to do this again, make it a regular occurrence. Like he said, some audio issues from our end. And yeah, maybe a little more participation from this end, but otherwise, I don't know. I thought it was great. 8 out of 10 for sure. 10 out of 10 for a first try at this. I thought it went spectacularly.
Well, I'll say that Kingdom said that he could make this happen. I won't say that I was coming into this with 100% confidence, but he's earned that confidence from me now for sure, because he has actually stitched this together, done a hell of a job.
On the fly.
On the fly, without a doubt, because he's not a planner. I know the man. He's not a planner.
No shit. What's up,
Let's
James?
go to you, Grizz.
What's up, James? Oh, Grizz, sorry.
Yeah, let me get Grizz, and I'm going to James.
Yeah, I think it. I enjoyed it. I think for me, I got crappy eyes. Bears don't see good, and so it's a little bit rough, the video element of it on this little phone. I mean, I might like it better on my computer next time, but I thought it was pretty cool, the audio things. And I give Kingdom a hat tip too. When you guys started talking about this, I was like, oh, this is gonna be a shit show, because I got I was in IT for 25 years. I worked on the very first IBM computers, and I've worked on every version of Microsoft Windows and every network that has ever been. So I know some shit, and I don't know a lot about the video and stuff. But I know enough to know that it's getting sticky, and I was like, this is going to be fun watching this, and it's pretty impressive. I give him a hat tip. I like it. It's good.
Yeah, I agree with you, Grizz, and like I said, anybody that's not following Kingdom, you should give him a follow. He's done a hell of a job putting this together. Now let's go to our listeners. Let's get back to our topic, because I know James had his hand up while we were still talking about police shooting folks. So let's go to James.
Hi. Yeah. I didn't necessarily want to talk about police shooting folks because, that's been talked to death by plenty of folks. I wanted to say I love the space. Duality of invited a friend of mine who is a 20-year police veteran who's disabled to watch the live stream, and we had a lot of fun going over the police videos together. And if this is something that's going to be regular, he's definitely going to be a regular on it too. Love what you guys are doing. Keep it up.
Tell him to give us a follow, because I believe this is going to be a regular. My biggest mistake is that I'm going to put a lot more videos in so that we can keep running through videos and fill the space with it. But yeah, thank you, James. Awesome. Let's go to Shane. Welcome, Shane.
So once I figured out how to find the video where you view all that, and I got it a little bit late. So if we're going to do this on a frequent occasion, are we going to have one on school safety and school shootings and all the instructional videos and all the video content that's out there, what they did wrong or right or what have you?
Well, if you're going to get the NSA to keep going into my emails and digging out my plans, then no, that's something that Jason, I'd like to do it next week, but I'm going to get with Jason on. He is our subject matter expert when it comes to school shootings for sure. But yes, that is on the books to do.
And that's why I mentioned it, because especially if you're getting the viewership, parents need to see this stuff. And this actually, once you figure out how to make it work, where to find the video or what have you, but to be able to view it and hear it and everything is kind of a bit of a game changer within the X Space community.
Well, that's what we're counting on, Shane. But no, absolutely. I know where you're going with on the school shooting. I think that is maybe a special episode if we can get that together with the content to do that next week, because I think that would be a super informative. And it'll be different than most spaces or shows or podcasts when it comes down to mass shootings or school shootings, is that we have a guest that I believe actually has an answer to it. So I'm looking forward to that. Getting that going with Jason. But I see we have Shelly in here. Shelly and Moni, thank you guys. You're always welcome. I love it when you come to the spaces. Robbie's in. Hey folks, Robbie hadn't taken a mic. He's been quiet tonight. It must be a slow Friday night for him. You should take a mic before we get out of here, Robbie, and talk to us. But I want to thank Kingdom in particular for everything that he's done and put together. Actually, before I do that, let's round robin this again and talk about, does anybody in the space, because I feel like we might have not necessarily skipped over you. I think we went long-winded. Does anybody in the space have anything to go over any of the police videos or police videos that we've reviewed tonight?
Well, if I could just jump in real quick with not relating to the police videos, but I just saw Soda's profile and I wanted to give a shout out to him. He's doing a sponsorship, not a sponsorship. He's selling products to benefit Dexter Taylor, and he's giving away some free merch. If you buy some hats, all the proceeds go to Dexter. So if you guys will go to his website and buy that, I know it would mean a whole lot. Apologize for the plug, but he's a really good guy, really awesome products, really worth your money.
And talked to him today, right?
Yeah, folks, I actually got a call from Dexter Taylor today and talked to him out of Rikers Island.
Breaking news.
He's super good spirits. We had a good conversation. He's aware of everybody's efforts out here, and much gratitude to that. He feels pretty confident on the appeal and just the whole process. He said they're not treating him horrible in jail. It's jail, but he's doing well, playing lots of chess, and preaching the word. We all know Carbon Mike. He's probably got him a pretty good following in there by now. It wouldn't take but a few conversations with him to know that he's somebody that you might want to stick close to. But it was a great conversation. He is aware. Of course, I told him some things that he already knew. The Colin Noir video going over 2 million. He knew that already, and he just can't stress enough that we've got to keep the word out, keep doing what we're doing, spreading his story, and we need to be more surgical with it, in my opinion. And Dexter doesn't agree with this. In fact, I don't think anybody in here disagrees with what I'm about to say. Is that we've got to target folks in New York. Folks in New York have got to fight against their administrative state. Me writing a New York assemblyman is not going to have the weight as it would if one of their constituents were to write them because they vote, I don't. So that is something that I made some headway yesterday. I forget the extra that gave me the tip on the New York candidate space that I went and spoke in. But we talked about Dexter's case there. I got some good context. I posted that up. I'll post it up again for everybody. We need to follow these folks. They're either people that are conservative, live in New York, or they're people that are conservative, live in New York, and associated with a conservative group. There's actually a group in Queens, New York, that is a pretty good size group, and that's close to where Dexter lived, his area. So we definitely don't let off the gas was the message from Dexter Taylor today. He said, great job, love what everybody's doing, and he's just nothing but love for all of us for our efforts, but it's not time to let off the gas. I want to go to Carl, then I'm gonna come to you, Shelly. But welcome, Carl. I'm glad you took a mic.
Yeah, no problem. Can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
I can hear you. All right, cool. So I caught the tail end. I'm at going on Monday. From what I heard, it sounds like you guys had a great space, good knowledge there. I'm happy to hear that our friend Dexter Taylor is doing well. I've heard a lot of the same things from other people that he's in good spirit, playing chess, and teaching people on the inside, just teaching them good things, about himself, about conservatism, and encouraging us to keep up the fight. I'm seeing his name everywhere now, so I gotta commend everyone for making sure that his name is out there, and keep holding people accountable who are trying to use this story to bash the judge instead of saying his name. The goal is to get him exposure, not the judge. We don't care anything about the judge. We care about what she did, but we don't care anything about making the judge famous and getting, people on the left to rally behind her because they think conservatives are attacking her because of her race and things like that. So we don't want that. We want people to rally around Dexter, and Dexter is the one that's the victim here, not the judge. So as long as we continue to hold people accountable, and not let others riff off his name, make money for their Twitter accounts or their YouTube channels and things like that. I mean, I don't mind them talking about his story as long as they talk about him. He's the one that needs to say that Colin Noir did his video is exactly the way I wanted others to talk about Dexter. He kept it about Dexter. He talked about the judge, but he kept it about Dexter first and foremost. So as long as we're doing that, talking about him and not letting this judge become the star of the show, we'll continue to to move forward. I want to try to talk to Dexter. So I'm gonna try to get him on the phone. I already told Joe to, if he talks to him again, or if any of you talk to him again, he has my number. Just let him know to call me because I want to coordinate an effort to go out there to New York in August. So, you know, I should be cleared medically to fly by then. The reason why I can't fly is because not being able to control my blood sugar and my blood pressure, and being in a plane with a pressurized cabin at 30,000 feet is not good for me. I can have a medical episode, but by August I should be good, and I should be able to fly out there. And I want to have the chance to meet with that if I can. So, and also stage a protest out there on behalf of them. So, Blender.
Thank you, Carl, and we'll do some of the back end work. And I thought after you and I's conversation today, he had to write all the phone numbers down. I want to make sure when we get off here, DM, you give me your phone number. Make sure I just have it at the ready, so that if I have an opportunity to talk to him or anybody that's going to talk to him, I can make sure that he has it. That may be the reason he wasn't able to reach out, but I don't know. But either way, let's make sure that happens. Let's go to Shelly. Welcome, Shelly. What do you think? Were you able to watch some video tonight on the space?
You know what? I didn't. I'm so sorry. I was actually having dinner with about 60 police officers from Folsom, California, Folsom, Bakersfield, and Fresno, California. They're having all motorcycle cops. They're having a big, huge event up in Folsom, which is about an hour from my house tomorrow. Starting at 8 in the morning, it's kind of like a motorcycle endurance kind of competition where they're going to set cones up in the parking lot of this church, and they're going to have this big competition between all of these different police agencies. And I guess there's going to be helicopters there in the morning, and so that's what I'm catching the end of your space. I apologize because I was back eating the blue at dinner tonight.
Well, you did well, but I wanted to let you know that we were able to pull off a simulcast by going streaming live video on the feed and bringing the space in audio. I'm speaking to you from the live video feed right now, and we can hear you all. It's actually worked great. Kingdom made that happen for us. I'm pretty excited about it. It's definitely something we're going to start integrating on a regular basis.
So where do you watch the video at?
If you'll look in, we've got the bubbles full. If you'll go to the bubble, you'll see a Night Court Special Edition Police Use of Force video review. You'll click that. You'll be able to see the live video. Just turn the volume down. You'll get your volume or your sound through the space, but you'll be able to watch the videos as well.
Oh, cool. Okay, I'll have to check it out when I get home. Good for you.
Right. It worked
That's
this time.
exciting.
And we're going to start putting them out on a regular basis, thanks to our friend Kingdom, who was able to figure out how to stitch that together. But guys, we're getting down to the last 3 minutes. There will be an after party. I'm sorry, Shelly. I didn't mean to step on top of you. Go ahead and finish.
That's awesome. I look forward to the after party.
You're awesome. Thank you. We will have an after party. Won't be video in the after party. We're going to let our hair down and enjoy our Friday night. But should be some great discussions. So don't forget to join us there. Robbie, I'm going to give you 1 minute, brother, to be the last speaker of the night out of the space.
Oh, no doubt. I just wanted to say congratulations. Doing a new little flavor tonight. I've been in and out. I was in the middle of nowhere, California, murdered about 2 million bugs. I'm sure I saw a few Children of the Corn and the Jeepers Creepers monster. So I just made it safely out of there. So yeah, I'm up here probably around where Shelly at. I was in Chico, California. Headed back to Sacramento. Yeah, it's been quite a trip, and
So
glad to hear that you got a chance.
Where are you
What's
at
up?
now?
I am. Yeah, I'm in the. I don't know where I'm at. It's just nothing but cornfields, and I think I'm on. I'm headed back to Sacramento. So wherever the midway point is between Chico and Sacramento, I think that's where I'm at.
Do you hear banjos?
Are you in the 5 or are you in the 5 or the
I'm on the 99. But
I know where you're
you know where I'm at, huh? Yeah. Yeah, but no, I just wanted to say congratulations, Joe. Man, you're doing big things, bro. Man, y'all become like my family. I love y'all. Glad you got a chance to talk to Dexter. Glad he's all right. Yeah, I hope Carl can get up there and see him. And I know Busybody did with his family. Yeah, no, I'm super proud of you, man. Really, I really am. And yeah, just nothing but love.
Let me tell you, this whole effort on the night court is a team effort. You see my co-host with the rings. I couldn't do it without them. I couldn't do it without my friend Kingdom. To be quite honest with you, I couldn't do it without Carl. I couldn't do it without Shelly or Moni. All you guys that give us the support. This is a we do. We're doing this, and your effort and your support is awesome. But we're gonna go ahead and close it out. I want to say tonight that I'm impressed with my panel speakers, Jason, FT French, John Cox, and Joe the lawyer. I thought they gave some very good insight on the videos tonight. I think they pointed out some things that most of us probably already knew, and maybe some of us didn't know on some of the nuances on how when a police officer or someone with law enforcement experience watches one of these law enforcement or police use of force videos, the things that we look at, how we kind of gauge it. Go back to the shooting at the Dollar General. One of the first things that stood out to me was like, what did he have probable cause to go in the purse? And of course, we've determined that we don't really know. He could have had it, just didn't articulate it on the video. So that kind of goes the way that goes. But I think it was a very interesting, very thoughtful space. I want to thank my panelists. They come outside their comfort zone to go on to another platform to get this for an in-studio video stream. And I want to thank them for that. And I hope they'll show up and do some more. Next week, we're going to start a different format. We're going to go to 2 hours. The 3 hours seems to go along, and we seem to do another 2 hours in the after parties. We're just going to start the after party an hour earlier. So we'll be a little faster on the pace for the 2 hour shows. Expect to see more of these simulcast spaces where we do the video as well. I think that's a hit. Between Kingdom, my co-host, and I, we'll get the bugs worked out. I think there's some audio issues that we need to address, but I feel pretty confident we can get that knocked out here over the weekend and maybe get 1 or 2 shows. But I think for sure you expect one next Friday, and I think we should go back to reviewing police videos. If anybody has any ideas on spaces or topics, shoot me a DM. I'm wide open and I'm always looking. So when you do a show 5 nights a week, you're always looking for content. And you guys have actually been the ones who have stepped up and provided very unique and great guests and good topics of discussion, along with participating in those topics of discussion. But folks, we're going to close it out. This is the one of a kind, the first time that we've done a video and a X space show at the same time. For those that have been in since the beginning and been able to watch the videos, I hope you enjoyed it. Give us some feedback. I'd like to know what worked, what didn't work, so we can figure out how to stitch those together and get this smooth and seamless. And we'll see you in about, give me 5 to 7 minutes. And we'll see you in the after party. No video, just your beverage of choice, snack of choice, and let's do a little shit talking. Thank you, guys. Hey, Kingdom, can you give us some music to go out with?
Shots Fired with Joe Lanou on Night Court.
Evan.